Welcome to the European Technology Network, ETN. What a time to be live. We are here at Agentforce London World Tour. Look at this.
Hey, it looks good. This is the best.
We're SaaS maxing, we're Agent maxing, we're Agentforce maxing. This is a special edition of ETN and a special moment for me personally. I'm just going to have to give a quick shout out to my old Salesforce friends. A cool full circle moment for me was part of the Agentforce team, onboarded in Chicago. They acquired my old company, Convergence. Shout out to Vic, shout out to the team. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. We're back and we're live.
And they made us a nice sign as well.
Check out that sign.
We can't see it, but everyone else can, yeah, so it's super nice.
We've got a lot of photos of it. If we can hit that wide shot and check that sign out, because we're also going to ask if we can take that home to our studio.
Oh, I'm ripping that thing straight off.
There was mention of like, can we put it on the Salesforce Tower in London? Like, yeah, but I don't know if that's going to go through.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that. Anyway, leave our data business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business, multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all-in-one platform. Get it at airwallex.com.
We love those guys.
We have a killer lineup. Salesforce has done an amazing job of helping us get some cool people on. Should we run through the lineup today?
Let's do some quick. I want to do some Agentforce World Tour fast facts.
We got some cool facts.
You want to just bang a few out here?
Well, apparently there's 14,000 people coming to this event.
Wait, there's 14K.
14,000 people attending in person. Thousands more online at Salesforce.
I thought it was 10K. Well, I remember with Dreamforce.
And I can see I can see at least 800 people in front of me.
Like a stream of people that have just.
Why are there so many people?
You guys can't see this, but maybe you come from behind us. I remember comparatively like to Dreamforce. Like, when I was at Salesforce, I was meant to go to Dreamforce, but I ended up obviously launching ETN.
Yeah.
I can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but like what Dreamforce does for the economy in SF is like insane. Like it's a great takeover. I know for a fact people are probably feeling the same things here in London. But why don't we let's get some fun facts going out here, okay? So World Tour.
That was my first fun fact. 14,000 people attending in person.
So this is also World Tour London. It's one of the UK's largest technology events of the year. And I thought I'd been to the Excel Centre before. When I came in here, like I got lost. It's so big. I remember you called me and you were like, hey, like.
Well, I called you and was like,
where do we go?
I don't know where I am and I don't know where you are. So how do I function right now? I have absolutely no idea.
Good start to the day.
150 sessions. The theme obviously is welcome to the agentic enterprise. That is the major theme of the Agentforce. You know, this whole event, which is, you know, World Tour London. That is the main thing that everyone cares about. How are people putting agents into their business and making them, run and do everything that humans basically used to have to do, and now agents can do it. And you know, humans can do some fun stuff. Let me go and build some relationships and have a better time building their companies.
Let me hit you guys with some keynote features as well. We've got F1, we've got Dell, we've got Canada Goose, we've got Thames Valley Police. We're hitting some good locals here, but we also have. And I am like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stick around and see this. Michael McIntyre.
I know, that's a
British comedian.
I don't know if that's rogue or if that's like.
It's left field, but I love it. We were asking, why is Michael McIntyre coming here today to chat? Michael McIntyre, and I think he was a founders forum as well the other week.
Is he like AGI pilled?
Well, yes and no. He is AGI pilled in the sense where he's quite keen to make sure that we maintain a level of like humanity throughout all this whole thing. Sure. Talking about the human connection, how can we, even using comedy in that form is kind of like his shtick, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure we're going to be able to stick around and see him, which is really annoying. 67 sponsors here, including AWS, Deloitte Digital, Merkle, Immersive, PwC and Titan. We've also got 25 plus product demos going down. I can see
Merkle just over there. They look pretty nice. Sparkling,
that's a nice booth.
A nice sparkling booth over there. It looks good.
That's a real nice booth
let's go through the order of play.
Let's look at some other booths here.
Let's all of the big sponsors are there. All right, we can see all of them.
Yeah, we got DocuSign out here. We got EPAM.
You can see Slack behind us.
Oh, they got, look at that Slack logo up there as well.
Speaking of Slack, we have some cool people on, and one person I'm very, very excited about is a GM at Slack, a guy called Rob Seaman. He's our fourth guest, but let's run through the guest lineup because it's actually really, really good, and I'm very excited.
We got Heather Black at Supermums coming in first. We've got Minisha Goel, Mindshift AI, Rob Seaman, GM of Slack.
Yes.
We've got Saaras, Mehan, CTO and co-founder Jack and Jill. Going to be catching up with the Jack and Jill folk again. I'm pretty sure they got a pretty big announcement to make.
They got a cool little update for us.
I don't even think it's been announced. Yeah, I think I saw a LinkedIn post yesterday saying they were going to announce it right here in that chair at Salesforce.
The world's going to go crazy. The world's going crazy.
We've got Nowi is back. Nowi Kallen, partner at Salesforce Ventures. He's back in the mix. I've not caught up with Nowi in a while. I saw him today. Last time we saw him was at Slush at the Lovable Party, having a good time. Nowi was on the Ventures side. They were connected to the old company that was acquired that I was at. Always good to hang with Nowi.
He's a beast.
Scott Wilson, CEO of Covecta. Quinton, Pienaar, EMEA Customer Transformation at PwC. Maher, Head of Marketing Technology at Trustpilot. Joe Inzerillo, President of Enterprise and AI Technology at Salesforce. Franny, Hsiao, Lead AI Architect at Salesforce. Paul O'Sullivan, CTO UKI at Salesforce.
Big lineup. Very exciting. Very exciting.
Here first, folk.
The first guest coming on is coming on at 11:30, I believe. So
11:35.
Is it 11:35? So we got a bit of time. We got just over
with a presence.
We've got just over 10 minutes. We're going to go through some stories now, and there's been a lot going on. First of all, was the big news. Basically, Finn being acquired by Salesforce.
Yeah, we can dig into that. Before we dig into that, I want to tell you guys about Framer. Build better sites faster with Framer. It's the all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, and ship production-ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. Go to framer.com. Check that out. Let's get into the Finn news. This hit the timeline like...
Ewan McCarthy posted, obviously, his announcement tweet. 1.2 million views, which is kind of bonkers. He said, we're excited to share that we've just signed an agreement for Salesforce to acquire Finn AI for $3.6 billion.
Let's give it up to Finn, can we please?
The transaction is expected to close in the fourth quarter of Salesforce's fiscal year of 2027. Finn started as Intercom 15 years ago. Famously, we've had the guys on to talk about We've had a bunch of cool people.
Adam. We had Paul.
Adam.
No, Paul. It's Paul Adams.
Oh yeah.
Paul and Des.
Yeah.
But Des's quote stuck with me. Let's get to that post. But like, for those who don't know the Intercom story, quote from Des, just to give you like context on what happened with Intercom. Des came on our show, Des Trainer, and said, "You either correct your company, or the market corrects it for you." So Intercom, they bet the company on the Finn pivot, and if you look at the charts, you can look at like the numbers from Finn, where like so Ewan came in as the new CEO, and this thing just went up and to the right. Finn is absolutely crushing it. It takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of heart to literally pivot a company better. But these guys knew way back when, before a lot of people did, that AI was going to be big, the agentic world was going to be big. So it's kind of awesome to see Salesforce pick these guys up, start working with them, start collaborating with them.
I feel like it's about time, right? Like Intercom, Ewan says it, right? He's like, we were the darling of the SaaS era and invented so many of the new patterns you see in software today. Nearly 4 years ago, in need of a reboot, we jumped on weeks old modern LLMs to create and define the category we know as custom agents today. Yeah. And they just did this whole huge rebrand, having just been like this darling child of SaaS. And they were ripping, and they basically they were ripping, and then they ripped everything apart, essentially, deliberately, to make sure that they could, shed skin and become this butterfly of the agentic era. And they've done, obviously, an incredible job. Ewan is, I think, staying as CEO. Des is going to be running the R&D within Finn at Salesforce. Still both be committed to continuing lead this category. They're saying thank you to everyone, obviously, that that's helped them. Yep. They posted some cool pictures of back in the day when they were 4 young guys, in a pub working, and now,
getting the beers
it's them. It's the Salesforce team at this dinner table, looking older, but obviously looking sharper and just generally better. I mean, they sold their company for $3.5 billion. So congrats to them.
He writes a great line on the big boss, Benioff. Salesforce invented modern software and SaaS. And Benioff is like the final boss of tech founder CEOs. In seat for 27 years, he's one of the last of his era, still pushing, pivoting, placing big bets. It's a privilege for Des Traynor and I to get to partner with him and join forces with Salesforce upon close at this moment, at this most fascinating time. And will be very fun to get their help bringing Fin to magnitudes more consumers. Speaking from experience, the acquisition process with Salesforce is incredibly smooth. Like the team that handled ours, we didn't have to lift a finger. Like it was the most smooth thing. They flew down from SF. They spent weeks with us. Made us really comfortable. We went out for a dinner similar to that. Super smooth process. And hey, I got to onboard in Chicago, so I had a pretty good time.
You're being treated right by the Salesforce.
I think, but notice this as well. Like a lot of this is coming from an angle in which like CEOs, leaders in the AI world, but also this like hybrid intersection of like SaaS and the agentic era. We're coming into a time now. We discussed it a lot on the show. We were having chats about it before we went live. 4 years ago, it was like, okay. This AI thing's pretty cool. I don't really understand it, but let's just see how we can get some exposure to it. Then it was like, okay, we just got loads of AI up in here. Like, this is, we're having a good time.
We're burning compute. We're burning this, that, and the other.
It's expensive. Are we? How are we positioning ourselves? Are we getting the value that we need? Are we seeing the numbers go up? Against how much we're spending. This year is the year of adoption. This year is the year of pulling the value from your capex spend on that, whatever it is, if it's compute, and then also connecting that value back to customers. So this, for me, echoing the words that the CEOs of Intercom have said, is a kind of like example of how the tech CEOs of this day and age who are running these large enterprises should be thinking, right? They should be placing these really great bets.
A lot of the conversations we're going to have today are going to be about it's the adoption into the enterprise,
the adoption era,
and like actually like making this thing work, right? It's like we've been through the 2025 kind of era where it's just let's suck all of the AI in as much as possible. And there was, now there's pressure from the boards to actually see what actually happens to the top line and the bottom line. Where is this being improved, essentially? Like what are agents actually doing within the company? And how is it actually affecting the business? And so I think like this is like obviously a textbook acquisition for Salesforce, because they have just acquired literally the leading company in the agentic space, and they're going to integrate. They're going to use Fin to really integrate into all of their customers, and it's so textbook. It's great. I think it's a very cool acquisition. And something that like I don't know, like I didn't realize that they wanted to like sell. I don't know. I felt like they were in it to build like.
Well, they're staying on, right?
They're staying on, I guess.
Yeah. They're working closely together.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the Cusp AI news. This is nuts because 2 years the valuation has just like quadrupled from 500 million to just over $2.5 billion. The FT came out with an article titled "Jeff Bezos backs UK startup Cusp AI in a $400 million funding round. New financing will more than quadruple the 2-year-old AI company's valuation to $2.6 billion."
Yeah, it's more AI. It's in London. Where are they? King's Cross?
They'll be at King's Cross.
They'll be in King's Cross.
And they obviously also mentioned about Prometheus's London office as well, opening that London office. They're in King's Cross as well. So it's like we're just happy. Like
it's happening, man. Like the network effects are taking effect in King's Cross. Like people are now, we had Georgie Stevenson from Index Ventures, one of the partners on the show the other week. We were talking about a new Neo lab that was opening up in King's Cross. I forget, Inherent Labs perhaps, working at the intersection of AI and biology.
And then
we didn't even have to ask.
And then that evening, I was at a General Intuition party in King's Cross.
In King's Cross.
Yeah.
We didn't even have to ask. I said to Georgia, where are these guys based? Is it King's Cross?
Yes.
She no reply. It was a shrug of the shoulders. It was a head tilt to the left.
It's King's Cross.
It was King's Cross.
You're correct.
Spoiler alert. It's King's Cross. It's the SF of London. But on a serious one, we are starting to see the network effects of this happening, right? Like again, I hate to go back to it, but convergence. We were in King's Cross. We even used to joke, like, if we were doing like a hiring ramp,
let's walk around, go to a coffee shop.
Dude, let's just stick posters on the windows. We were facing DeepMind.
Yeah,
we were like, hey, come and work here. Like, there's a lot of talent flowing out of these labs, especially DeepMind. A lot of talent. People aren't ready for the influx of talent that are coming out of DeepMind. These people that have probably learned from some of Demis's ways, and the fact that like they're focusing on the intersection of biology and chemistry and how that collides with AI. We're going to see a bunch more of these Neo labs popping up. We got like Ethos is there. I know that Nexus is there.
Has Ethos moved out of, because they went to New York as well. Do they they still have 2 offices?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But HQ is in King's Cross.
Yeah.
So James Lowe and team. Shout out to James Lowe and team. They're staying there. A little bit more about the deal with Cusp. The deal will see Cambridge-based company valuation jump, as Luke mentioned, from $520 million last September to $2.6 billion, including the new capital raise. Investors include Silicon Valley venture capitalist Kleiner Perkins, Bezos Expeditions, the Amazon Founders Family Office. According to, it's those people again. People familiar with the matter. We love those people. Shout out to people who are familiar with the matter. Cusp AI was co-founded by Chad Edwards, who previously co-founded a quantum computing startup, Max Welling, a professor of machine learning at the University of Amsterdam, who is a pioneer of AI's application to science. I was at an event with one of their team. I think it was chief of staff, and I'm awful I'm forgetting her name at the moment, but she was walking me through some of the really cool things they're doing. And this team is cracked. This team is like heads down, build mode. They understand the opportunity that they've got in their hands, and they're ready to rock and roll.
But it's crazy. These companies do not need that many people. Like General Intuition is like 4 to 5 people. You realize?
Wow, that's small.
Is it in London?
In London, yeah.
So I was like, oh, like you guys must be hiring a lot to their founder, and he was like, no. Like we're not really. Like we're. It's like a more like nah.
Nah, we're not. You're wrong.
And I was like, oh great.
How was that? Yeah, was it a liquid party? You know, any beers?
It was. Around, I had a beer or 2. It was great.
Nice.
I saw some
Negroni's usually your.
I saw some of the.
Your port of call.
I saw some of the, my researcher friends talking about tech and having a good time. So
nice.
It was good. It was good. But some guy brought like a robot to the party.
Oh, no way.
And it was like,
we need to get one of those.
It was like table high, right? And it was dancing. It was like coming up to people and like fist bumping them and stuff.
No way.
And it looked like it was going to like fall over like all the time.
We need to get one for the new new place. Saaras. Not unannounced, but new place.
The unannounced place.
We could maybe tap up Brad Cock.
But basically, like all of these companies, these Neo labs, they're just like hyper specialized teams working on very, very specific things. I don't know how big the Odyssey. Obviously, they're working on world models. I don't know how big their team is, but I imagine it's not going to be bigger than like 30 people.
They'll be tight knit. You know, it seems like the format.
They just raised 300 million or 310 mil Series B.
Big round.
Obviously, pioneering world models, huge deal for them. I think they're backed by Amazon, I believe. And that came out yesterday, and I imagine they'll be 20, 30 people big. They're like super ingrained into one problem, building for a very, very specific cause, and then they just go and rip. And then eventually,
we can dig into that like a lot more, because I do want to talk about world models. It's very, very, very happy to see a round of this size as well for these guys. Like, when I saw that news initially, the retweet was
like Jan
Lee Kun. I don't know. He's an advisor on Cusp AI. I saw Jeffrey Hinton as well. So two godfathers of AI. But we're welcoming our first guest onto the show. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Heather Black.
Please,
how are we?
How's it going?
Thank you.
I love the jacket. This is the famous gold jacket.
Famous golden jacket.
Let's dig into it. Heather, welcome to European Technology Network. Do you want to maybe introduce yourself for the stream, for the show, for the viewers? Who are you? What is Supermums? We got a bunch of questions to jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Heather Black, as you said. I run a company called Supermums, and we help empower women to learn technology skills and launch their careers in the tech sector.
Okay, amazing. Can we walk through like founding journey here? How long have you been building this? Where was the idea born? Why you? Why back then and why now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I stumbled into Salesforce, went to Dreamforce all by myself in 2012.
That's a pretty big event to go on your own.
Long time ago now as well. And just realised the amount of opportunities that are available. So I started a Salesforce consultancy, started by myself, and grew a team of 20, and we were working with non-profit companies, helping them implement Salesforce. But off the back of that, realised that there wasn't enough talent in the ecosystem. And I was a mum, just had a baby. I was working full-time at home, breastfeeding, doing all those things, working flexibly. And I was like, actually, this is a really great paid role that other mums could do at home. And because before becoming a Salesforce consultant, I'd worked in the employability sector and helping people into work, I kind of married my two passions together. And so I got to launch Supermums at Salesforce World Tour in 2016. So these events have been a big part of my journey. And then since then, we've grown Supermums over the last 10 years to help many people around the world.
Nice, let's go. I've just got a ping on the mic where your mic is.
Shift your mic a little bit that way.
We've been told to move ours a little bit in like this. So I think if you can turn it like... perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you fine. It's just for our lovely viewers at home. This is fascinating. This is already reminding me of the Ivy team that we had on, right? Like, how can we upskill people? How can we bring them into the workforce? Like, what for you has been like the biggest challenge for you going through this journey? Like, how have you sort of, how have you built this all out?
So I think one is, employers' reaction to mums, because we can train them, but we've got to get them hired. And we work with some incredible companies that completely get it. Like, they want to hire people with industry relevant experience, which mums do, but they might have had a couple of years out of work looking after their kids. But they also want to hire people who've got the most up-to-date, latest skills, because what they're currently finding is their current workforce might be too busy working to learn the new products, and they want people that have got the newly acquired product skills. So that's where we've really had the success. Whereas there is then the other companies that sometimes think, well, it's traditional biased of, women want flexibility. I had one company say, well, we can't hire mums because we need people in the office all the time and it's full time. Yeah. So you've kind of got these companies at completely different ends of the spectrum. And I think those companies that are getting it right are hiring mature talent with experience that can hit the ground running. And I have to say, the Supermums that have come through our programme are so enthusiastic about learning. They're still learning trailheads and doing badges at 12 o'clock at night. And their husband's like, are you going to come back to bed? They're like, no, I'm busy.
I remember going through those like a while back, and like some of them were, I failed at a lot of them. So fair play.
What's the... what's the opportunity now with like agentic work and all of this kind of stuff? Like, how much of your work is now like retraining these people to like learn at the frontier of some of these companies that you might be working with have no idea how to implement some of this tech. So you can bring people in who are super eager to learn, retrain them, and then deploy them, I guess, into these companies and really help them. Like, how much of that is a thing now? Like, agents are a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So businesses need business analysts, change management people, and people to build and look after agents, right? So that's where we're training people in those skills. So we train people who've got industry backgrounds in business analysis skills. And if you look at sales alone, if you're working with a sales team, I did a piece of research for our own training. There's actually 70 different ways you could deploy AI across the sales team, looking at it from different lenses.
Interesting.
So how where are you going to start with that? A business wants AI, but how do you choose where to prioritize? So we train our Supermums in one, how do you do that discovery? How do you build the business case? How do you even allow them to understand all of the applications of AI? And then how do you narrow down on the ones that you move forward with? So that's like the first stage. The second stage is then change management, because you can build the toys, but then unless anybody has an appetite, motivation to use them, that's where we're seeing actually least adoption right now, and where you don't get the return on investment. So that's a really great place where women are particularly good at. I sort of say men aren't as well, but given the brand of Supermums, women are great educators, trainers. It's that pastoral support, it's that emotional support. In learning new products and changing the way we work, there's a lot of emotions. And you're actually dealing with that. It's like dealing with kids at home. Right? You're dealing with kids that I don't want to change from my spreadsheet. I don't want to change the way they work. I deal with this every day. Parents deal with this every day with kids. It's the same thing. Change management. So we train in change management skills and methodology, and how to do it like a gold standard training strategy. And I think the third element is agents. We talked about agents, Agentforce. They've bought Finn, which I'm hugely excited about.
Let's go. Let's hear it for Finn real quick. That's a big one.
I loved Finn, yeah, because we've just been appraising AI agents for our own company, and we're relatively small, compared to corporates. And I was feeling that Agentforce was too expensive for us. And we did a big appraisal of the market, and Finn was definitely my favourite. So the news in the last week, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Okay, so because I felt like a bit guilty. I was eloping from Salesforce. I'm like, no, it's safe. I'm okay.
Now you're still,
I'm okay.
That's good.
And I've been getting some of our Supermums learning Finn already and like testing it.
Yeah.
So it feels like that's a brilliant addition, but it's about building agents at different levels of complexity and governance, which I think is the other area.
What are the
Really cool.
what are the industries that are like most interested about having the service essentially? Like what are the industries that are kind of adopting this as quickly as possible? Or are there industries that are kind of not even they might not even they're not there yet? Have they? Where are the most interested industries at the moment?
So we work very closely with Salesforce, and Salesforce recommend customers to Supermums that need that internal capacity building. So we do a lot of work around placing our candidates into companies, helping them build agents, that business capacity building around BA and change management. And the companies that we tend to be working a lot with are retail, because there are a lot of B2C customer-facing roles, so they're looking at agents to do that heavy lifting. Also, finance sector is also really looking at this, but there has been more risk analysis around the security of all of that, so I think they're moving at a slightly slower rate. But public sector is huge, right? They've always been the laggards, behind the curve, and actually Salesforce is really booming in public sector right now, both the local police. And we just saw a great case study of where they're working with the police Met using agents. And so that has been hugely surprising. And we work with quite a few consultancies that work in the public sector space to fuel their teams at the moment as well.
Interesting.
Really cool. Yeah, we've seen firsthand when we've had people from the Solve AI Fund, some of the government officials, Minister Kanishka, Minister of AI, has come on the show, and it does seem like public sector is really surprisingly frontier than one would initially think, especially here in the UK.
I think it comes down to hiring, right? Like they're hiring people at the top who are wanting to be at the forefront, right? And so they're able to drive things forward that I think historically they haven't been, and now they're really moving quickly, which is really exciting to see.
Something that you will probably have, a comparative advantage as explaining compared to Luke and I, but practical advice across the UK and Europe, like leaders hiring non-traditional backgrounds, how have you approached this topic? How can others benefit from the work you're doing? How can you help people think about this a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier a little bit about the businesses are looking to hire externally because they need people with the most up-to-date skills and experience. So that's the sorts of conversations that are happening. So I think, yes, you do want to capacity build, but the thing is, if you're working full-time and you've already got a full-time job, it's balancing that, of pushing and saying, you need to learn this, this, and this as well, versus bringing new people in. So the reason companies choose to work with us, and it's easier for me sharing it from my experience, is they want to make sure that they get more of a diverse CV pool. So they go to specialist recruiters to make sure that they're attracting candidates from different diverse pools of people that they might not otherwise see. So that could be neurodiversity, female, disability, etc. Also looking at the benefits that they're offering as well internally, because actually people tend to be deciding on a job, focus more around benefits and salary these days, quite a lot of the time. And I think paternity and men being allowed time off of work as maternity is being a huge pivotal play in making it more equal for men and women, and it's not always discriminating against women of having time out. So I think a lot of companies are bringing those sorts of things in to make it more of an even playing field. So one is attracting the right people through things like that. The second, in terms of choosing and interviewing, making sure that you've got a senior level board who are interviewing that is also diverse. Because if you've just got a panel of all men interviewing, then actually you're not necessarily, it's not to say they're going to be biased, but there can be more bias there. So you've got to make sure you've got good sort of KPIs to measure diversity at the senior level and look at changing all the way down through all tiers. So we also help companies hire more C-suite females, because that's actually where you get a biggest attrition rate as well. they've had kids, particularly in the teenage years is when a lot of parents feel like they need to step back. It's not just when they have babies, because there's a lot of pressure of getting kids through exams. So you find companies need to look at both of those areas, losing senior people who are more female and also hiring people.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
That's really. Thank you for your time. We know we're
out of time.
We're getting pinged already, but thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
I wanted to ask about the jacket, but we didn't get to go there. But thank you so much. We can catch up later. Thank you so much.
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, up next on the show we have Minisha.
We've got.
Minisha, what's going on? Hey, how are you doing? Nice to meet you. What is that?
Okay.
Do you know?
Hey guys. That is so good.
What? Did you send these in?
It must be very hot in there.
Are they,
right?
Yeah.
Are these part of your team?
They are.
Minisha?
Yeah. It's a little treat that I brought along with me.
That's so good.
That's so good.
Is that a Slack bot?
I apologise for your interview being.
Oh, that's so good. Look, let's get into it. These guys are having fun and we love that.
That's so good.
Do you maybe want to introduce yourself for the stream, for the viewers at home? Who are you? What do you do?
Yes, I am Minisha Goel. I kind of wear two hats. So I'm the business owner of a training business called Mindshift AI, where we focus on generative AI upskilling. And I'm also an AI educator. So I do content on all things AI across Instagram, TikTok. And yeah, that's
nice.
me.
Talk to us about being a creator in kind of AI and tech.
We're new to it.
Yeah, we're new to it.
So
we're
you
not,
need to help us because
I think you need to help me.
We're like creators,
so well.
but not really. I don't know.
No, we are. We're creative.
Yeah,
we're content creators.
Anyways, we're
content creators.
tell us about why you decided to do that specifically. What was it for your business? Was it did you start with the content and then you built the business around it? Like, how did it all kind of fit together?
It's a really good question. You know what it was? It was more around, when I started content, I was thinking about myself when I first came across AI. Mm-hmm. And I was completely mind blown when, I started using ChatGPT at work and, I had the luxury of time to experiment and to test and to learn.
Yeah.
And what I realized through my time being redundant during that moment of my life is that a lot of people, they just don't have the time to invest in learning and upskilling about these tools.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame. I just thought it was such a shame that people are not learning about this as fast as they could have been at that time when I started doing content.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I started doing content, the agenda was purely just to reach more people with my mission, which was to empower people to start using this technology and start taking control of the way that they work, essentially.
Yeah.
And content seemed to be the best channel to do that because it was quick, it was easy. A lot of people are engaged about it online. I feel like the amount that content and content creators have pushed the AI world, and especially the generative AI world, has been absolutely immense to, a lot of these big tech companies as well. So for me, it was just a channel to empower people and reach them faster.
And what
Really
about
cool.
teaching like enterprise teams? Like how is that? Is it really is it tough to kind of take them off their workflow and like get them to adopt more things that they would never even know how to do without you, right? I guess like how is that? Like is that really tough?
Yeah. So with my
I should just quickly say sorry if on the mic we're getting pinged that maybe the viewers can't fully hear you. We can hear you perfectly, but yeah, if
Okay.
like
Just sit a little bit closer, maybe.
We've been directed
There you
so
go, you're
much.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
perfect.
Sorry. Hopefully that's okay now.
Yeah,
That's
you're good,
perfect.
you're good.
Perfect.
Yeah. So with my training business, which
Yeah.
is Mindshift AI, we do AI training and AI training programs, workshops, and we work with enterprises as part of that. So to answer your question, how are enterprise companies like approaching AI
Like,
upskilling?
is it really tough to teach them? Like are they saying, hey, like I don't want to change my workflow. I like setting in Excel or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Or is it are they adopting it quicker than you would think?
I would say, I think it's the most eye-opening insight for me is that a lot of people are not where you think they are. So whilst we're on LinkedIn and we're on the news and we're on social media and everybody's talking about AI and how to use it, and it seems so overwhelming and that everybody's ahead of you, the reality of it, as somebody who works in these companies that helps train thousands of people, is that actually people are still at the very beginning of that phase and that change. And that's because things are just moving so fast and they just don't know where to start. So on this topic of kind of AI literacy in general, yes, a lot of like 90% of people, 80% of people are using AI tools, but actually if you look under the cover, only like 20 to 30% of people have been properly trained, like officially gone through training, AI literacy training, on how to use these tools and how to use them to their best abilities. So what I find is that there's a big disparity between what you see online versus what's actually happening on the ground. That presents itself as quite a big opportunity for companies to, do something about that and be active about it through, upskilling programs and training.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, walk us through some of your content then. Like, how do you approach content? How do you approach that? Information upskilling piece. I imagine that you probably it's quite hard, right? Because you'll have to be somehow aware of like, how big is the gap? Like, how much should I like be in the know when I try and communicate this? How much do I have to break it down? Like, is there like a thought process? Because when we just start yapping. We just start like yapping.
And we're lucky enough to, like, our audience is people it's very niche, right?
Yeah.
So we're not necessarily, like, we are on Instagram and TikTok, but like we're not going for the kind of wide scale market, I guess. We're going for a very,
we should probably think about this. This is like an interesting like moment. Yeah. How do you approach that? How do you approach like making sure the audience is like they're getting that value back from you?
Absolutely. I think to be honest, I try not to over engineer it and think about it, because otherwise it comes across as inauthentic and like you're trying to sell. So honestly, I just go back to everybody's, like, the reality is, guys, everybody is learning at the same rate, right? These tools, these technologies are coming out every week at this rate. So every single week I'm learning. So I start from first principles, like what was my problem to begin with and how did I solve it using AI? It's genuinely as simple as that. I think when you speak and you start with a problem first, a lot of people can resonate, right? A lot of people have the same problems in their businesses, in their work, in their workflows. Start with a problem and just add value as much as you can, right? The lessons that you learned, the tips and tricks, those types of things tend to work really well in terms of the content that, my genre kind of focuses on.
Yeah.
How much is mindset like a part of it? Like, not like, the technology is getting so good, right? But it's like you have to, like, the human still has to kind of have that right mindset to say, hey, like, I'm gonna maybe throw the rule book out and I'm just gonna play around and just see what I can build or see what I can do. How much is of adopting AI is just the mindset shift that people have?
I think it's the most important part. I think it's the only really important part of it. Because I think with the technology itself, the barriers to entry are very low, and it's not that technical. Like, it's not that difficult to use. Actually, these tools are being built very intuitively, like how you see with the Salesforce keynote this morning. So many intuitive tools that work with your data, that work in your systems. So the tools aren't hard to use.
They're not meant to be technical, right? Like, they're designed to be friendly for someone who isn't technical.
But the biggest challenge is that resistance to change.
Sure.
And it's that being able to say, okay, this is the way I work at the moment. How can I rethink this entire process with AI in mind? And I think people are resistant to that because you're used to like just working on autopilot, doing the things that you do. It's easy, you're used to it, you've built a system around it. It's a bit of a headache to think about changing that now, but actually that's where you end up finding those nuggets of freedom.
Yeah.
I'm also curious, when we found out that we were interviewing you, I wanted to understand about, we just talked about how we kind of cater to like very niche parts of the content, right? And the tech ecosystem. You're more broad, right? And you can see kind of a broader scope of like what the narrative around AI is within kind of, the general workforce, right? how is that narrative? Is it, we see sometimes that there's a pretty negative narrative around it. It's going to take my job or whatever. Like, what's the general narrative that you find in the kind of broader workforce within enterprise? Is it good or is it bad or is it kind of like mixed? Like, how does it fare?
I would say that it's definitely mixed.
Yeah.
It's that change piece that you mentioned, right? Like, it's always going to be an intimidating process to change, no matter what's happening. I think, connected to what we try to do, and what sounds like what you're doing as well, and even what previous guest Heather was doing, is like, I think we have a responsibility to do as much as we can to educate those people on the benefits and the good things that can happen. Because I do think sometimes maybe traditional media can skew it in a way where they're maybe looking for views or clicks, but like, I see that as like a mission that we have to take on to try and shed a light on like the benefits, the good things that this technology can bring to people who may not sit like directly in the space.
Yeah, exactly. It is a responsibility, and it's a responsibility at all levels of society. To be honest with you, if you're an organization that has 10,000 employees, if you're a government that's trying to be a leader and be competitive with other countries, etc. So I think the responsibility is across lots of different levels, and 100% it's a mixed sentiment towards AI, and I think we do have to be like really honest about that at the same time.
100%.
Right, when we're like teaching, when we're online, I think you have to be raw and you have to be authentic and you have to be truthful about whether you think something is genuinely good versus genuinely harmful, like how we saw last week about Fable, coming online for a few days and then going offline. Like, what is the story behind that really, and why would that have happened, etc. So we have to be honest with ourselves as well as to where things are going, and I think that's a good thing.
No, I think it's a great thing. Authenticity as well. It's how we connect with our audience. It's the same thing that we have to do as well. First Salesforce event you've ever been to, I'm pretty sure. How's it gone? What are you going to be up to? Apart from obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've been in the corporate world. I once was working as part of a project that was running Salesforce inside of a bank.
Yeah.
And I remember my time at that point because there was just such a huge team surrounded around just that implementation. And I just think from what I saw this morning about co-work and Slackbot and all these incredible agents that are coming into the environment, I think it's such an exciting time to work in that space and have the tools and I guess toolbox and toolkits to be able to make you work better. I find that really empowering. Like, if I were in the working world, I'd feel so much more confident in my role, knowing that I can hand over the things that I'm not so good at or don't enjoy as much to these AI agents and focus more on the things that I love. That's how I see it personally. So if you see it from that lens, I think what Salesforce is building is absolutely incredible.
Talk to us about your plans for Mindshift AI, right? What does the next 6 months look like for you?
Yeah, we're growing quite a lot, and we're getting so much request and demand for training.
Yeah.
Which just shows that this pace of AI is really not slowing down. It's actually just starting. So we're just doubling down on the training side of business and reaching as many more companies as we can and productizing our trainings. We're seeing a lot of demand for tools like Claude, Microsoft Copilot, and ChatGPT as well. So digging into that.
Let's go.
Very exciting.
Cool. Well, look, I think we are at time. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sorry about the mascot crash. We weren't expecting that.
I'll bring them back later.
Yeah, bring those funny little guys back here. That was that was joke.
That was not planned.
So what was that? That was Astro.
We did get told that there were going to be that was a Slack mascot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just realised.
Slack, and then I'm pretty sure the other one is.
Our chief of staff take a nice little pic. I would spin my laptop around, but I don't think the camera would see it.
That's so funny.
There was a little Slack. That's so small. Like,
no, are they sat down?
I don't know.
They sat down. Sorry, we're live reviewing the.
Anyway, we had a little mascot crash. That was good.
That's so funny.
That was not on the agenda. Anyway, we next on the show we have Rob Seaman, GM at Slack. talking about Slack. He will be joining us at 12:05, so we have 5 minutes to. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Well,
Should we go back to Odyssey?
Yeah. We were doing some news.
Base, the infrastructure for the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, people everywhere to build apps, create businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain. Go to base.org.
Let's talk about Odyssey. Odyssey have raised a 310 million Series B to pioneer world models. For me.
So I got pinged about this from a comms person, and
what are they saying?
before I accepted the embargo, they were like, oh, like, you know, there's an AI kind of lab building in world models. You know, they've just raised like 300 million plus at like a $1 billion thing, and then I was like, I reckon that's Odyssey. And then I was like, I've accepted the embargo, and then obviously it came back and was like, Odyssey has raised 310 million. I was like, got it. You know, that I was expecting them to raise.
It was refreshing to see. Like, this is focusing on world models. Like, a lot of early conversations around world models. There's a few people working on it here in London and also in SF. Jan Lee Kun famously, discussing that like the LLM trajectory is capped. There's a.
Oh, by the way, Arthur Mensch followed us on X. By the way.
Oh really? Arthur Mensch, the founder of Mistral, just followed us on X.
Yeah. Hey Arthur, how's it going,
champ? You got to come on here, buddy. We hope the trip to the G7 went well. Thank you for sticking.
Thank you for
your flag in the ground over there.
We won't give you a follow back because you haven't come on the show yet. But
we're not allowed to follow you back
when you come on the show. Anyway, let's keep talking about Odyssey.
That's crazy, man. What the hell? Sorry, where were we? Odyssey, world models. For me, this is a turning point. This is a turning point. Like in SF, we are seeing some large rounds for world models, but for me.
Where are Odyssey based? I feel like they're like...
they have two.
They have SF, London, and I want to say Berlin.
No, not Berlin. It's definitely a US London split. Like when Jeff came on, the CTO, he was coming on live from London.
Palo Alto, London, and Zurich.
It's a good guess. It's excellent guess.
Anyway, sorry.
Amazing launch video, by the way. Those guys really crushed it with the creative on the launch video. But going back to this is, Jan Lee kind of discussed this in the past. Like there are limitations on, and it's a relatively controversial topic.
Building LLM,
because we're using sort of static resources of the past that are limited. Like that sort of knowledge realm is capped, right? Like if we're looking at world models, it's expansive. It's using like the space around us, visual, like essentially the world. So his belief is like surely that is a more expansive frontier.
But it's like
previously focused on.
It's a creation thing, right? So LLMs, like, they are inherently curation in terms of
there's right?
So there is only so much knowledge, and I think the context window is about 3 Harry Potter books for like a frontier model. So
for us to use it though, not for training.
For a context, for like the context window that you use in a chat is about 3 Harry Potter books worth of context.
Oh, what? That's such a joke.
Yeah, good
Why are we measuring things in Harry Potter books?
It was just one of the facts that came out. I can't.
Is that a unit of measurement? Harry Potter books? Yeah. For how many?
How tall are you? I'm about 17 Harry Potter books.
How many pints did you have? Like I probably weighed the equivalent of a Harry Potter book and a half. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, I'm ending this conversation.
I know.
Like, yeah, totally get it, man. I'd probably end the conversation right there and then.
The context thing. So LLMs inherently they can only take in so much context, but then you've also got. They are trained on certain information, and that is the only information that they can then pass back to you. And obviously, they can make inferences about this, and they can change their, they can make analysis on different things using the information, and maybe dig deeper in terms of the way that you look at a problem or whatever, or a solution. But it's like world models are creating like things basically within the world. So
I think like
that's Jan Lee Kun's kind of like bullishness.
There's no ceiling on how expansive one can push that frontier if you're around world models. But again, like relatively unproven, relatively early technology right now. It's just very refreshing to see a headline, a raised story as large as this for world models. I think it's great. Also
Well,
on
in the FT it says, Odyssey is among a handful of early stage companies developing models that are trained on physics and the relationships between objects in order to go beyond language-based models underpinning today's most popular AI tools. World models are part of a second wave of AI set to revolutionize industries from robotics to gaming, said Jay Zavary, a partner at Natural Capital. He said, we have taken a human brain-like construct and only taught it language. Odyssey co-founders Oliver Cameron and Jeff Hawke previously worked on self-driving technology. Cameron, the group's chief executive, said Odyssey's models will have a much more complete understanding of the world. Physics, body language, dynamics, all of these things that exist in the world that language doesn't really capture. And that's the thing, right? It's the second order of, the second effect of AI.
It's the next thing.
The next thing.
The next thing.
Exactly.
It's what's
exactly
being
that.
discussed. But yeah, like, we had a great chat with Jeff. I can't remember when we interviewed him. When it was. I think we've got Rob coming
Rob
in.
Rob is coming on.
EVP, GM of Slack, the tool we all know and love.
He's nicely under the Slack sign as well.
Look at that! That's gotta be.
Are we gonna get a little mascot crash as well?
Know. Rob can let us know. He's coming into the house now.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, maybe he knows.
Ready whenever you are, sir. You ready to hop in?
Hey, how you going, Rob's in the
What's up, man? How you doing? Hi, good to have you here. Welcome to the show, Rob. We were just saying we just got the Slack mascot just crashed the previous interview. So
Slackbot?
Yes. I'm not sure if you were pulling the strings behind the doors.
I was not. No, I'm pulling the strings behind some of the software bits, but not. Nice. There you go. That's amazing.
If you just put your mic a little bit closer.
Oh yeah.
All right. Cool. How's that?
You gotta speak into the mic. But Rob, welcome to the show. First time on the European Technology Network. We're very lucky to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself? What you focus on for the viewers and the listeners at home, and then we can get into the questions.
Yeah, I'm the CEO and GM of Slack at Salesforce. So responsible for product design, engineering, sales, and marketing of Slack to the broader customer base and market.
Let's go. Okay, can you walk us through the story? Like, I feel like this is one of the more famous and remembered acquisitions of all time, especially in slightly pre-AI world. But now we're seeing that the Slack product really come into the intersection of AI as well. Can you just walk us through that? Like, what's that journey been like with Slack? Journey been like here at Salesforce, bringing Slack in, a little bit more flavor on it. How's it been?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go back to the very beginning of Slack, it has roots in IRC, and I think the big invention was channel-based messaging, this very fluid new way of communicating amongst the workforce. And it started as channel-based communication, but very quickly it operated under the premise that it made the most sense to bring the work to the conversation as opposed to making people leave the conversation to go to the work. So very early, Slack started to integrate apps like Jenkins, GitHub, and Jira. And over time, that started to be more knowledge work apps like Salesforce, ServiceNow, whatever it might be. So it made a ton of sense for Salesforce to acquire Slack because it could become the new place where Salesforce work happened. And I think that's even more germane now in the AI time because you basically have every single company that matters that's building an AI product is putting it into Slack, and it's effectively becoming the interface to use those AI agents, which is again germane to Salesforce.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the positioning that Slack has been able to kind of have, right? Where you're saying you haven't taken people away from the conversation in terms of their work. You're bringing work into the conversation, which is great, and people can they can app different apps that they want to use or different kind of model providers or whatever it is. Can you talk to us about how how useful that's been for the growth of Slack? Have you seen a lot more growth just purely because of the ability to at an app or whatever you're using within Slack itself? Because I don't know, anything that I use that's even pre-seed level startup, that's the first integration that they'll make, exactly. Right? How useful has that been for Slack? I imagine
it's been tremendous for us as a business, but also for our user base. And I'd say it's been disproportionate or exponential in the last 9 months or so. I think there was a very big inflection point back in January with the launch of the newest version of Opus, and you just saw an influx of agents being deployed into Slack. And fascinatingly, we actually passed 1 billion messages a day being sent in Slack, which is about 2x what's happening on Twitter now, all in the last
2x
quarter.
Twitter.
Yeah, and that's largely because of the volume of agents that are being deployed into Slack.
Yeah.
That's really cool. There's a line here that we were seeing earlier. Advice to AI builders: don't make me think.
Yep.
Can you just walk us through that a little bit? Like, this is, taking the burden or like roadblocks or bottlenecks away from the users. Like, walk us through this philosophy.
Yeah, so we have 5 product principles. I think 2 that are probably the easiest to explain here. One is be a good host. So when you walk into like an Airbnb that's well appointed, like the cutlery is exactly where you expect it. The towels are where you expect it. So we want our software to be laid out that way. And then we say, don't make me think. And specifically, we focus a lot on comprehensibility rather than clicks. So you see a lot of, like in the consumer world, people focus on click optimization. We want the job to be done to be extremely understandable and discoverable, and that's what we focus on in Slack with our copy and our design, which is a user has a job to do, the software should get out of the way and let them do the job. And that's what we're trying to do with AI as well, which if you go into a lot of AI tools, it's just an open-ended prompt box with a blinking cursor. Yeah. And we think we can really help, tilt the umbrella, for lack of a better word, to help people use that product with the context that's in Slack.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you've argued for there isn't just going to be one winner. It's like you're building like an open thing, something that's open, it's neutral, it's ready to kind of take everything on. How important is that kind of going forward now? You mentioned in January you saw an influx, right? Yeah. I imagine that is just only getting stronger. It's like a compounding thing where more agentic companies are being built. There's just more things happening every single week. Talk to us about building that kind of like open source kind of like usage base, I guess, for agents.
It's the single highest priority for us at Slack, period, is landing what the AI ecosystem into Slack. And so the way we think about it is you effectively have a modern AI stack. Like at the very foundation is the context and data you need. On top of that is the LLMs, and you have platforms for building agents and observability. But at the very top, we think of Slack as the multiplayer runtime. So if you think of a lot of these agents and AI tools, they're single player in the sense that just one person sitting there using it.
And I'm only using this.
Exactly. Yeah. But Slack gives you the ability to actually deploy it to a group of people, and for a group of people to use it together and learn from each other. And so we see ourselves as the runtime for that. In order for that to happen, we have to be Switzerland. We have to be entirely open, and that's our number one priority.
Yeah. So would you say solo AI is kind of like holding people back a little bit, right? What does that mean for what does that mean for the companies building on top of LLMs? Like, what do you think the future looks like for them, for the companies building solo AI where you're only using said product?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like, what does the future look like?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think there's a home for both. I don't want to completely knock solo AI. But Toby Lütke from Shopify actually said this best. The risk of single player AI is that the AI learns and that individual learns, but the individual's peers and the rest of the company don't learn from the experience that AI and the individual are having, right? So they at Shopify are actually moving as much of their work as possible into public in Slack. And you see that from Anthropic and others as well. So I think while there's a home for like deep focused individual work, when you need to provide affordances in your product to actually take it to a team or take it to multiplayer mode. And that's where I would encourage people building on top of these LLMs to build an integration into Slack to do that. Because then it allows you to say, okay, like I've reached a point in this research that I want to bring the rest of the team in, and Slack's the way that you can do that.
Yeah. How to me it seems like the Slack product has evolved so much since it's even since it became part of the Salesforce business, right?
Yes.
Like the shipping has stayed as frequent as a startup would. Like the velocity is still there. It's very apparent with everyone that uses it. Like, how do you guys sort of maintain that pace internally? Like, how much are you thinking about innovation for those products, especially with like the agentic world in front of everyone right now? Like, I know there's already like elements of the product that are already eating up like a lot of that. Like, how do you keep that forward momentum going as well?
It comes back to a little bit of the culture of our product design and engineering team, and specifically, we operate under the assumption that we're wrong from the beginning, and the only way we're going to get it right is actually to put it in people's hands and see how it feels. And so that necessitates that we build smaller things, ship faster, get feedback, and so we do run a lot like a consumer company in the sense that we're shipping multiple times an hour, constantly running experiments, rolling things back, trying new things. And I think it's even more possible now with the agentic coding tools that are available to us. So we've actually 4x'd our PR throughput and our experiment velocity.
Wow.
Yeah, and just in the first quarter of this year, it's been staggering to see. And so it's a little uncomfortable in the sense that like any given moment, I don't actually know everything that's going on, but at the same time,
morning, you're like, oh my God, there's
exactly. I see a new thing. I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of cool. Or whoa, why did we do that? But the overall, the moral arc effectively of this is bending towards better product for users. So
yeah, how much code being written at Slack is being written by AI? Is it
a lot? I don't know. I can't get. It's not 100%.
Okay.
No, I'd have to go back and actually pull a stat, but I think it's pushing upwards of 70 or 80% now.
Do you think it will ever reach 100%?
I don't, and I don't. I could absolutely be wrong, but like one of the things we spend so much time on is craft and polish and how something feels in your hands. And it's not yet perfect at those things. I can see, at some future state, it might be, but that's where we spend a lot of the time is it helps us bootstrap ideas, prototype, get things to a certain point, and then we spend a bunch of time actually polishing it to make sure it's like a great UX and it feels good in your hands.
Cool.
So the code helps us get 80% of the way. Sorry, the agentic coding tools help us get 80% of the way there. And then like the expertise and craft of our people helps go the last 20%.
So what the workflow, this might be wrong, but so you get 80% of the way there with AI coding, and then you then ship it to, would you then ship something out like publicly or to like a small group to like test things and then come back? Then code, physically code, manually do stuff.
We do. We have what we call release rings. So I mean, one of the beauties of working at Slack is that we live on our own product, right? Yeah. So we release to ourselves a subset, then to ourselves, then to Salesforce employees. Then we can turn it on for free teams, like 20% of free teams, or maybe we could target some enterprise teams. And if the feedback's bad, we roll it back, or if it's great, we'll actually titrate up to like 80%. So that's how we do it.
Okay, awesome. I love it.
A question like structuring teams in this era, like a lot of the conversations we have on the show is like a lot of roles across whether it's product, engineering, design. Like we're getting to a point in which we're like individuals are so empowered and capable that a lot of roles are some of these roles are merging into one, right? Like I'd love to hear from your perspective at your level internally, like how are you thinking about structuring the org? How are you thinking about where you're deploying the most time or money or attention? How are you prioritizing things?
The thing that's, I think, most interesting for us, we have always focused on reducing coordination headwinds. I don't know if you've ever read Komorowski's article about organizations being like slime molds. No, but people just gravitate towards...
whose article?
Who is it?
Komorowski, he was ex-Google, I think he's a VC now, but he wrote an article about how it's all actually an emoji-based presentation. I encourage all your listeners to go look at it. It's called How Organizations Are Like Slime Molds. And as a project gets momentum, more and more people want to hop onto it. And the entire premise is the more and more people hop on, the harder and harder it is to stay aligned, and the slower and slower you get. And so we've always focused on having as small a team as possible. And I think that's even more possible now with the agentic coding tools that are available. So you do see a collapsing of roles. Like we have product managers that have design expertise and some prototyping expertise. But we've taken teams that were 40 down to like 10. And that doesn't mean we laid people off. We redeployed those 30 to other areas where they could be a team of 10 here and there, And so we're able to have much smaller teams move faster, and it's been really, really exciting.
Yeah, that's definitely
interesting though, because it's happened even on Tuesday. We talked. I can't remember who it was, but we were talking, and they said no, we like to have very specific people working on very specific things, and we don't want any horizontal kind of people working in whether it's a little bit of design and then a little bit of kind of product or whatever it is. Like they like people sitting in their specific areas and
it was the CPO of Vercel who was on the show chatting about
and
it was super interesting, and we were like, that's a difference, because most of the takes are like yours, right? Where it's
but the most common one is like, let's get SWAT teams of like highly efficient lean groups that can attack a bunch of different problems at once, but like especially for large organizations as well, right? Like it'd be more efficient to deploy these SWAT teams, probably not the best word for it, but there are different words for it, of like highly efficient focus groups almost to like go ahead and like take on problems.
I agree with the smaller team to take on a problem. I care less about the specialization. A lot of what we focus on, we often call like assembling a jazz band. Like it's really important that their skill sets complement each other and they be able to like interpersonally be able to vibe off of each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like when it works, it looks like a jazz band just riffing. You know, and it's really cool to watch them work in channel because you're like, oh wow, look at that. That engineer had that amazing design idea, or that designer actually pushed a prototype that looks really cool, or wow, that PM actually just shipped something to production, you know, and they're just totally vibing off of each other, which, so we try to optimize for that. And sometimes you have to look for, there's more front-end heavy or back-end heavy projects, and you have to make sure you intersperse those skill sets. Yeah. But for us, it's all about like the interpersonal dynamics and then making sure you have a good amount of taste and judgment. Because I think more than anything right now, taste and judgment matter because it's like code's not the bottleneck. The ideas and the craft 100%. Are the bottleneck, you know? And so we try and like intermix a good degree of taste and judgment, make sure they vibe well off of each other and have a good skill set.
Yeah. Well, we can see that with the product, so you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Thank you, appreciate it.
We're out of time, but thanks so much for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, really good to meet you.
Dude, have a great day, man.
Too. Have a good much.
Good stuff. We'll see you soon.
That was awesome. That was Rob, everybody. GM.
We have Saaras, Mehan, CTO and co-founder at Jack and Jill.
Please get over here, sir.
Yeah.
How are we?
How are you doing?
Yeah, let's go, man. What are you saying? You good? Yeah, I can see you. Welcome. Where do we start? I mean, normally we get people to introduce themselves, but I think people already know who you are. But we might have some new Salesforce viewers. So do you want to, who are you? What is Jack and Jill?
Yeah, so I am Saaras, one of the co-founders of Jack and Jill. Yeah. We're an AI recruitment agency, essentially. We have hundreds of thousands of agents. We have Jacks on one side for the candidates, and we have Jills on the other side for the companies, and they work together to help people find the meaningful thing they want to do next in their life. So,
love it.
Let's go.
What a mission.
Give us a temperature check.
Just move your mic a little bit closer to you.
Yeah, we've been hammered on people messaging us like, we got to speak in the mic. Give us a temperature check. Where are things at with you guys? We see a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. We see a lot of stuff online.
Yeah.
Give us, what's the update?
Yeah, so it's been just over a year now, which is a weird thing to say. I think it's about 6 months since we were last speaking to you guys. There's 20 of us now. We've been
still in Shoreditch?
We're still in Shoreditch. So
nice.
15 of us in Shoreditch. 5 in San Francisco, and we just launched New York a couple of weeks ago.
Let's go! Congrats!
I did not know
taking over the world. So
it's
been a busy few months since we last spoke.
How's the expansion out into SF gone? Has it gone well?
It's been really good. I think we've been surprised by how well it's gone. There's always a bit of trepidation going into a new market. Will things be different? Will things be the same? But I mean, like, the community in SF just adopts things so quickly. They love like new technology, being on the cutting edge, and they just see some of the stuff we're doing at Jack and Jill and they just love it. So it's been exciting being out there as well.
Amazing. And I'm conscious you're CTO, so I don't want to go too deep into the broad macro kind of like hiring stuff, but I want to ask about just like what are you seeing? Like you obviously see like a ton of data about hiring and all this kind of stuff. How many people are kind of using the platform and finding jobs? Like, are more people coming onto the platform? How are you finding, people just coming onto the platform to understand like what more can they do from their, with their skills and like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Initially, we thought people might just come onto the platform when they want a job or like when they're looking for something. But I think people come onto the platform to understand what they want to do with their lives. Yeah. You think it would be initially just like a job search kind of thing, but it's actually very reflective. People come on, they have like a half an hour conversation about themselves.
That's like deep.
What they want to do with their lives, like what's important to them, what they find meaning in. Is the job their most important thing in their life? Is it actually their family and they want to spend more time with their family? And like, it's for a lot of people, it's the first time they've actually sat down and reflected and spoken about what they want to do with their lives. And it's like, the amount of emotion you get out of those conversations is pretty dramatic. And then obviously like Jack starts helping people with sending them roles, introducing them to companies, helping them with a career, mapping out the market, all these things. But I think the big thing is people sitting back and being like, what do I want to do?
What do I actually want? Okay, so then from a CTO's perspective, because I imagine like as a GTM's perspective, it would be like, okay, let's use that framing to maybe like get people on the platform, and then eventually they'll go and maybe find a job using Jack and Jill. But as a CTO, how do you guys then build for that? Like, are you building like for that kind of thing that you didn't realize that you were building for, but now has become a thing?
Yeah, you get these moments with products where the users really pull things out of you.
Yeah.
And I think on the company side, there's all these tools, there's all these products, which obviously we can improve on and we think we can do better. But on the candidate side, there's really nothing for people right now. People are using Excel sheets to track what jobs they want to go after. People are like DMing some of their friends to be like, what do you think I should do? It's really haphazard, and there's never really been there's no Airbnb for managing your career, which is like, for a lot of people,
it's nuts because
yeah,
people spend 90% of their waking time in a career, right? So.
Yeah, you have this beautiful interface and beautiful way of finding a hotel, but actually figuring out what you want to do with your life and how you want to manage your career. Do you want to go after that promotion? Do you want to keep an eye on the market? Are you earning enough at the moment? Are you happy with your work-life balance at the moment? All these things, like, there's no existing operating system for people managing their careers, so that's the kind of direction we're going in at the moment. I think that's where the value.
Are you guys like sat on a load of data then, like in terms of like, you know, how the market is right now from a hiring perspective? Like, what are the top roles, like average salary type thing, like anything interesting that you guys are seeing in terms of trends or like anything across that spectrum?
Yeah, I think this is actually been one of the most useful things about Jack, is that you can actually go into Jack and you can see what the rest of the market thinks of you and your skills. Something we've been noticing at the macro level is just this kind of drive towards generalism, especially in these kind of high-performing startups that we work with, who are really focused on AI. This drive towards everyone kind of being able to do everything. We see it at Jack and Jill as well. Everyone is either a founding operator or they're a founding engineer. And whether they were CTO of their last company, they were founder of their last company, they were VP of marketing at a scale-up, they were like head of engineering, everyone's this kind of generalist role of either an operator or an engineer, and they kind of do a bit of everything. You see the marketing team making updates to the product, you see the engineering team going out, doing customer discovery and getting in the hands of customers. Like, everyone does everything, and that's one of the biggest trends we've seen.
Yeah, how do you manage that then? How do you say, like, you know, for an engineer, you know, they might go and go to a customer, and that's maybe not their job, but then they go and do it kind of anyway because that's how like the culture works. Like, do you find that that's tough, or do you find that that's like refreshing and exciting for you guys?
I think what we found is that, like, for a lot of the best people, that's super exciting because it means that your job is no longer
just move the business forward. That's your KPI.
Your job's no longer write code. Your job's no longer produce marketing assets. Your job's no longer screen CVs. Your job is move the business forward, hire people, get more people on the product. And those general problems are way more exciting for a lot of people, and I think it's a more exciting world to be in.
100%.
What else is like coming up that you guys are pumped about? Like, what are the next steps for you guys? Like, what's the 6-month plan? Like, it sounds like international expansion's gone well.
So quickly as well. It's just nuts.
Well, this is the building public thing that you guys do super well. We need to get better at that, I think. Like, we definitely need to do that more. But like, international expansion sounds like it's gone very well. You've got London, SF, New York. What else is on the roadmap? Like, what are you guys pumped about, if you can share?
I think, like, I mean, look at where we were a year ago. A year ago this time, we were at a few thousand users. Now we're about 100x that. We're about 250,000 users. The plan for the next year is like get that to another 100x and get that to like a billion users, basically. That's the plan. We think that like there's a chronic lack of ability to help people with their careers, ability to help people understand the job market, to even understand what are the skills people are looking for. And as AI progresses and as you get more displacement in the job market, it's going to be more and more important that people stay in touch with the job market, know what's out there, know how they should be pivoting their skills and the direction of their career, and know how they can like advance their career as best as possible in the future. And we think there's a chronic lack of understanding around that on the candidate side. And on the company side, I think the problem is obvious. Like, CEOs are spending like half their time trying to poach the best engineers, the best talent from other companies. There's got to be like a better way than the best people and the smartest people in our economy spending half their time working on finding people. So
but we know like everyone that comes on our show, like one of like the CEOs, founders, like execs, whoever it is, like one thing that they all, like the consistent variable amongst all of them is like a lot of their time when we ask them like, hey, what are you focusing on? What are you focused on right now? The first thing they always say is like hiring, always hiring. And then it's like, I've got to do this like really important thing for my business and this and this and this, but it's always hiring.
Yeah.
It's at the top of their thing. And like, we're kind of experiencing that as well. Like having like founded ETN, like if we find good people, we just want to figure out how we can get them in the business and build a role around them. Or like if we're hiring for pain, it's like, okay, this hurts. How can we get someone in ASAP who's like really good? Like, but it's always top of mind, right?
Yeah, I mean, your team was telling me you guys are growing pretty fast as well in terms of your hiring. And like, yeah, the goal of Jill is to basically empower talent teams, empower hiring managers, empower founders, and make it so that you can instantly get in touch with the right people for the right roles in your company and just grab the talent as soon as it's available. That's kind of why we're here at Slack as well today. Is
let's hear more. Yeah,
we're launching our Slack integration today, which is a big moment for us.
Let's give it up for Slack integration with Jack and Jill.
Here we go.
You love to hear it.
I think it's like, go ahead.
Congrats. I was just congrats.
Yeah, I think it's easy to think of like Slack as just an integration, but over the past 6 months, we've been building agents internally. We've been interacting with agents. We have probably about 40 or 50. We have agents that order our Deliveroos every day. We have agents that organize our pub trips. We have agents that look through all the conversations that users are having and understand if there are any issues coming up. And like Slack as an interface for those agents has just been so wildly powerful for us. Just the ability to go in the morning and just, even this morning, I got a Slack from one of our agents being like, hey, our OpenAI spend has increased 50% over the last 24 hours. I think there might be an issue. Do you want to double check it? I can do some investigation for you. I was like, yeah, can you send me a report on that? And that interface is just so powerful. And once we realized how powerful that interface was for us, we were like, Jill users should be able to do this as well. You should be able to go into your Slack, Jill should come up to you and say, hey, here's the next 3 candidates I think that would be a really good fit for ETN. Here's what the strengths and weaknesses are. Do you want me to set up calls with any of them? Let me know. Let me know if you want me to pivot the search as well. If you're looking for younger, hungrier people, if you're looking for people with more experience.
Interesting.
And it's just you treat them as an employee and just go back and forth on Slack and just say, yes, this is good, this is bad. Let's go for this one. Let's get them locked in. And like, it's just the power of that interface, the collaboration, the speed is just, it feels truly magical.
Yeah. We just had a GM at Slack and he came on and he was talking about how they're just building like an open kind of like, like place, like a public place almost, just to go and at anything that you need.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful for them, right? But also like for the companies that are able to integrate into Slack, it's like, it's a perfect distribution mechanism, but also like it's flawless in terms of allowing people to use, the agents best that they can, right? Like that's so cool. Congrats. That's really.
Give us, can we get a flavor then of like what is the next year look like for that like recruiting vertical as agents start to sort of find their way into it? Are we going to see like, fully autonomous hiring? Is it going to be, I can just have some sort of like voice agent connected to my laptop and I can just say like, oh, hey, can we get like 3 more product managers in here? And then, on 2 Tuesdays later, they're starting. Like, can it be that? What does it look like?
I think the way it's actually going to be weirdly reflective of, I think, where coding has gone as an industry. Right now, if you look at talent teams, we've spoken to some of our customers who are getting hundreds of thousands of inbound applications and reviewing those CVs manually, who are setting up hundreds of searches on LinkedIn with Boolean filters and manually going through each profile saying, does it look good? Does it not look good? How does it look? I don't think we're going to get to the point of like, remove all talent people in an organization. I think it's going to go the same way engineers have gone, where the drudgery, the grunt work, the reason people don't get into the industry of like scrolling through CVs, scrolling through LinkedIn and just endlessly DMing people cold on LinkedIn, those aren't going to be the things I think the best talent teams are doing a year from now. Yeah. I think the best talent teams a year from now are going to be thinking an abstraction layer above. They're going to be thinking, I've got Jill, I've got this AI recruiter who's sorting out all that stuff, who's sourcing on LinkedIn, we're well calibrated, we know what we're looking for as an organization, we're screening our inbound applications correctly, all the drudgery is sorted. Now I want to think about our employer branding. How do we become the best place where the best talent wants to work? How do I optimize our interview funnel such that every single person who comes through our interview funnel has an amazing experience and wants to tell everyone else that even if they don't get the job, that this place was an amazing place to come and interview and gets an amazing impression of our company. I think it's that moving up the layer of abstraction, and it's the empowering of these talent teams and these hiring managers and founders, such that they're not doing the front work of just like
and then they don't have time to do the relationship work as well, right? Like it's like they do the grunt work, great, but then I don't have time to nurture the relationships. Well, then take that away, and now you have all the time to kind of do that relationship building and everything.
And the interview process becomes more human, not less human. It becomes like, how do you win that candidate over? Do you get a signed letter from every member of the team when you send them the offer? You get every person to reach out to them personally. All those little things that make the human touches that make the big difference in the interview process.
Man, big mission.
It's going to be an exciting year.
Have you done you said you're doing a speech here?
I don't think we're doing one today, no.
Okay, sorry. Just announcing the thing. Cool. Well, look, we are at time, but it's always a pleasure to hang, man.
It was lovely to see you guys again.
It's good to
do it another 6 months.
Yeah, do it out in the wild, bro.
Lovely to see you. See you guys. Peace out.
We love those guys over there at Jack and Jill. Luke's smashing up his
Saaras, Mehan.
Up next, we got Nowi. Nowi, get over here, man. Look at this guy.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
See you again, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Look at this.
What's going on? Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, where do we even begin? I already gave the
Ronan was getting teary. He was, He was
the
like, God, it's a full circle moment.
So many good memories.
Full circle. But before we begin, I'm gonna have to ask you politely. If we're talking, we're gonna have to talk into the mic. We've had a few. We're getting lit up on WhatsApp
Cool.
on people moving, but we've been talking about the full circle moment. It's when I first met you as well through the Convergence journey, Salesforce Ventures. Do we want to maybe explain your role at Salesforce Ventures as well specifically, and where is the focus for you guys? What does Salesforce Ventures do? How is it connected to Salesforce? What's the setup there?
Sounds good. Thanks again for having me, and it's good to see you both again. Congrats on the momentum of the show, by the way.
Thank you.
Simply
Thank
amazing.
You. We're very lucky.
The European capital of capital. So yeah, a little bit about myself. So Nowi, Kallen, partner at Salesforce Ventures. I look after the EMEA region for Salesforce Ventures. I've been in the seat for about 7 years now. And we've been in the region since 2015. Originally got set up as a VC unit in 2009, so that's about 16 years or 17. And what we do at Salesforce Ventures is invest in amazing companies. We like to back generational founders who have the ambition and drive to build a globally successful business. And we're here to help with, not just our capital, but everything that comes with it. And we're tied to Salesforce, right? Salesforce is our sole LP, if you want to put it like that. Which is actually great. It's a lot of flexibility. We have enormous trust from the board to basically do what we're doing for these past 16 years. And it's about wanting to get exposure to amazing software, new businesses, help them out, both opening doors at Salesforce, right? Across the world, in our HQ and elsewhere. But then in addition, the other facets of the business that are relevant. So most of the startups are looking to scale and scale fast. We work with a ton of Fortune 500, Global 2000 companies. Obviously, no coincidence. They also often work with Salesforce, and there's connectivity there. Yeah. So we can open a lot of those doors, help them scale faster. In addition, we have about 400 portfolio companies who are all on a similar journey, but probably a different stage. So when we're hosting events, whether small scale or large scale, we're looking to have those founders connect with each other and learn and grow with each other or collaborate. And then where we invest, we've always been investing in software as a service. The market is now changing so fast, so rapidly. Everything is basically an AI company. Every company that we back is an AI company. You have to be. AI infrastructure is where we focus. Cybersecurity, one of my core verticals, and then the horizontal and vertical apps. In addition, and that's kind of like a newer emotion, is frontier tech. So think about space technology, think about defense and a few others, where we're seeing a huge opportunity with like new founders, new technologies, and taking some of the learnings from like what we saw with generative AI that now also apply to other domains.
Yeah,
in a nutshell.
Dude, really cool, really cool. Two things that really excite me about what you're mentioning here is like, we were just discussing not like the next frontier, like we're coming into the agentic world a little bit more. We kind of broke down the past 3 years as like year one, maybe 3 years ago was, especially for enterprise teams, like we hear AI is like what we need, let's just try and get it in here.
Yep.
Year two was like, okay, like we've got it in and we're kind of spending a lot of money on it, but like, where is the value being accrued? Year three is like, okay, we understand it now. We understand how to implement it. We understand how to extract value from it, have that value in our company, but also our customers as well. And it's kind of like, for me, that's the agentic frontier for this year, like a year of adoption, a year of value. But like the second thing you mentioned is these new frontiers that are coming out, like space being one of them. Like what an exciting time that is. Like we were just discussing world models, like Odyssey just raised 310 million Series B, like another really exciting frontier that we haven't even properly found our way in yet.
The next stage of AI, right?
Yeah. Like the next, like what area is sort of getting you going? What area is like, one that you're really looking into specifically?
Yeah. I think it basically comes down to like intelligence, and intelligence applies to like the LLMs of this world that keep getting better, but also like just an understanding of the world, right? The world models, image generation, video generation, fusing it with audio and making sure that it actually is like a video we'd want to watch, right? That is consistent across, that has like all the like elements of like an actual like human-made video. Now, what we're excited about is one, the opportunity to like build out that intelligence, but then also all the underlying layers that make it possible. So where we've been diving into is like, it's great to have all the GPU, the GPU build out, whether it's in the US, Europe, or elsewhere. But in order to sustain the build out and getting to that next level of intelligence, we are going to need more power, a resilient grid, supply chain risks we need to manage. And so what are those opportunities basically in order to like drive the continued growth? And that's where we're spending a lot of our time. So like new chip manufacturers that have access to like the best talent, new technology, and that can also manufacture. The space side of things is having to do with understanding the world, right? Imagery, data, all that stuff, relevant to weather events, natural disasters, conflict management as well. And then, the other thing is, well, if we're looking for power and we have challenges like, building it out in the world, right? Space could be that next frontier. Yeah. And it sounds like it is happening. If you're looking at like what, SpaceX is doing, what a few other startups are doing, and that's where we want to be. And we were basically like following where the industry is going.
Do you think the like general VC dollars, do you think they'll be moving like further up the stack then? So generally the excitement and I guess the money kind of starting to flow up the stack in terms of, the bottleneck is energy. Yeah. The bottleneck is how do I get more compute? It's less about being able to build using AI. The models have got good enough that kind of agents are doing tasks not being prompted by humans now and everything else. Do you think more VC dollars will start to kind of flow up the stack towards energy and is that why I guess Salesforce Ventures is looking, but then maybe everyone else as well?
I think it's definitely a trend in the market, right?
Yeah.
But I think one of the most exciting things like these days is, you have something that is true, right?
Yeah,
yes, there's more VC dollars flowing into, let's call it, hardware or hardware adjacent technologies. At the same time, you're still seeing like the models get better, like exponentially.
Yeah.
New model builders coming out, right? I think we had 2 like massive seed rounds here in London recently. Where it's like a new generation of models, right? The recursive technologies, things like that, focused on like discovery of new things. So it's like yes, and like everything is basically true. So amazingly exciting times we're in.
Yeah. Let's talk about, we mentioned it earlier, like King's Cross, you mentioned these two, like I think it was $2 billion seed rounds. David Silver's Ineffable Intelligence, and then Yan Lee Kun's AMI Labs maybe was the other one.
Recursive, AMI was the other. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well. So
Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's having a good time. But like, headline is like, more capital is flowing into the space. I remember hearing a stat from James Wise over at Boulderton, but it was something like UK venture accounted for like, I think over 50% of all venture dollars flowing into Europe. But I think overall things are looking a lot better for Europe, especially the last 2 years, 3 years. Like, there is definitely a momentum trend. There is definitely something you can feel on the ground. Also, like, the people that we have on the show, like everyone's raising bigger rounds, everyone's hitting ARR metrics faster. Like, tides are turning. Do you want to maybe just talk to us a little bit about, like, you must have a great vantage point of what you see across Europe from a venture perspective. Like, you know, like, how can we take advantage of our comparative advantage? We have great talent. We have like DeepMind here as well. How can we, how can we use that? Can Europe be a powerhouse?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's like the European ecosystem, and I guess that applies to like every other ecosystem, like follows like various arcs, right? When I moved across from New York City to London in 2017 and started an investing job, my boss at the time was like, there is no software in Europe besides like SAP.
Yeah.
And I was like, right. Nice. Let's see, right?
I got a hard job in front of me.
Exactly. So, like, I think, like, I guess I made the right bet, but it's more so like the Europe ecosystem has been able to, like, drive success over time. We've had exits, right, in a number of spaces. There are generational companies that have been built in fintech that are truly going, like, world leaders, basically. But it always was like in a smaller like universe compared to like US, which is still the case, and I think that's okay, right? I think having sort of like that viral loop, right, where you see like success create success, right? Employees of one startup that scales, become the founder of like the next generation is exactly what you're seeing right now. Like if we're talking about Anton at Lovable, right? We're seeing like, various other employees of like, whether early, mid, or late stage companies, start their own businesses. A few of the labs that you mentioned, right? So I feel like it is happening. Now, at the same time, you still have like the media narrative of like, kind of like a bit defeatist of like, is Europe done? Like in the intelligence race and things like that. Yet they forget about like all the like recent announcements, and I think actually you comment on it regularly of like, why are the mainstream like news outlets not talking about this, right?
It was something that like we remember the other day, like even even Dario, Sam, Demis, Arthur Mensch, and a couple others. I think at Co here, I forget his name now, Gomez. We were meeting with the G7 to have this sit down recently, right? And like, that was nowhere. That wasn't even, I hadn't seen that anywhere. Right. And it wasn't until like a friend of the show, like Sam Hogg, had tweeted it out. Yeah. And I remember retweeting like, I feel like more people should be talking about this. And I was like, we can just project it from ETN. And now it's on like 780,000 views, which is great. But it's like, why are we not? Like that's massive news. It's kind of like leaders of the new world in a way. Like it should be, and Benioff was there as well, like with a bunch of other Macron, like this should be discussed,
To me, the thing is like, and I guess like, I'm preaching to the choir, but like if we can get more optimism and positive energy, both about like the businesses that are being built, the founders we have, the talent we have, the successes and like, the exits in the next few years, right? I think, like newer, younger generations of people will catch on to it and like talk more about the opportunities that you're seeing. And it doesn't even have to be in AI. It can be like across any like technology sector, right? I think hopefully that will then pick up and like create more of that viral loop to really create like a massive amount of winners.
What do you find in your in the founders that you back then? Do you find that there is that kind of that optimism is starting to kind of seep through? Is that a thing that you've seen since you started in 2017 to now? how has that kind of progressed, right? Is there more kind of general optimism about the European ecosystem? There's obviously more examples of companies, and there is kind of inklings of where there's ETN, there's people shouting about Europe, which is great. Do you find that you can see that in the founders that you're backing?
Yeah, well, I think generally, like, what we like to see in a founder, right, is huge energy, drive, optimism, a bit of that like underdog mentality as well, right? Like, hey, we're going to win and potentially disrupt some like pretty massive companies here because we are doing it differently. That is exactly what you need. And then the other thing I'd say is like the sort of like common DNA is like, hey, yes, I'm building a business, in this case, like in Europe or anywhere really, but I want to take my business global. And that often means like certain steps you need to take like relatively early in the journey of the company to like, ensure you start building that momentum, that, you create the visibility and that, people will catch on to like your mission. The mission is the last thing. Like, you're seeing way more mission-driven founders of like, hey, really focus on like one thing that, maybe it's like something related to like how they grew up, right? Of like, hey, this is something I want to solve. Or like, as they were at another startup or a lab, and then just like drive it all the way.
It's also like you mentioned obviously that I know we're actually
we're running over time already.
We'll have to get you. Yeah, we'll have to get you back on. Yeah. I was going to ask like another question, but
Thanks
maybe
again
not.
so much.
We can run it back.
Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's good to catch up as well. Hello, man.
Next on the show, we have Scott Wilson, CEO of Covecta. Scott should be joining pretty soon.
Let me tell you guys about Polymarket real quick. Polymarket is the world's largest prediction market. Profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge.
Stay informed and profit from your knowledge.
Stay informed and profit from your knowledge.
Coming on soon.
Scott Wilson, CEO of Covecta,
so
will be
let's just
joining
have a
us
quick, while Scott's not here, let's just have a quick,
second.
Arthur Mentz just followed us on X.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's crazy. Mistral,
cool, right?
co-founder. I think it's
I reckon
the new CMO that they just hired. What's the?
yeah, you're up.
Sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Luke, Scott, how you doing, Ronan? Nice to meet you, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I like it.
I just hit the tree with my chair.
We're vandalizing the set live.
Yeah,
I haven't got one of you either side, right?
No, we like to.
We've gone for the 2-on-1 situation setup.
We don't want our guests like doing this, That's true,
it's always a bit of a sticky one. Quick word of advice from everyone running the show behind closed doors: if we can do mics talking into mic when
is that good?
talking.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Because it's like this, times like that. No, you just put the mic in front of you.
They're here for a reason.
Yeah, 100. Scott, welcome to the show. First time on the European Technology Network. Do you want to maybe introduce yourself, the company, what you're focusing on, and we can get into some questions after that?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys. Scott Wilson, one of the founders, CEO of Covecta. We've been running for about 2 years now, and we're building agents for the financial services sector. So specifically banks, building societies, lenders, credit unions, UK, US. That's our focus. And like what we really talk about is like, seasoned banker intelligence. There's a lot of noise out there today, and what we like to think about is how do we ensure that when we deploy our agents, if you're a relationship manager, someone in credit or ops, our agents understand who you are, what your work is, and how to do it with quality. So that's our focus. Based here out of London. Got clients live in the UK and the US now. Exciting times. Yeah, busy.
Let's go.
Okay, first question off the bat. You mentioned, whether you're building for a client, this in relationship management, credit, whatever it is, right? What's the they're in finance, but they're very different roles.
Yeah.
How do you how are you actually practically going out building agents for these people? Are you building specific agents for teams or for certain banks or whatever it is?
Nice.
Or are you building a relationship management agent and then a reconciliation agent? How does it kind of practically work?
Yeah, look, so this is one of the complexities as to why it's broken, right? So if you look at today's landscape, one user, call it a relationship manager or someone in credit or ops, might have to actually go into 5 or 6 different systems to get the job done. That's the problem. That's the underlying architectural issue.
Sure.
So we don't focus on agents by role per se. We look at the function that needs to be delivered. And then those agents are interacted by a group of users. So our kind of 3 core pillars, if you like, are lending. So lending origination and servicing. So helping, whether it be a mortgage, commercial loan, corporate loan. I want to accelerate the underwriting on that loan, the screening. I want to go do a post-close review. I want to service it. I want to understand the covenant breaches, right? That's one pillar. The next pillar is accounts and deposits. Okay, so I need to go and onboard a deposit holder.
Yeah.
I need to go through KYC requirements. I need to go through an onboarding checklist, all very manual. And then there's the compliance side, whether it's fraud, transaction monitoring, responding to subpoena requests, all of the compliance mid-back office capabilities, right? Now, today, there may be one user who has to engage across these 3 different pillars. That could be across 5 systems, 10 systems, depending on your institution. So that's how we think about it. In terms of like how our agents are built, right, which is your next piece, is it's all about, we hear a lot about agent harness, but to our clients, they don't know what that means. What it means is we're deploying a solution, not just an AI model, an LLM, right? And so we bring a lot of capabilities around native connectors to third-party data sources, processing and ingestion capabilities to ingest data at scale. You guys have been in banking, right? So in and around FS, you know the types of data you're dealing with, right? It could be hundreds of megabytes of data. That needs some robust ingestion capabilities. Orchestration models. How do I make sure that, to your point, many users, how do I make sure that that one task does actually make its way through the value chain to someone to sanction that loan?
Sure.
Right? That's a workflow that we have built in the DNA and the fabric of our agent model. And it goes on, right? So we bring this, we call it like the anatomy of our agent. It's more than just an LLM. We actually don't care so much about the LLM, right? So that's where we go deep, and that's why you would choose us for this vertical.
And then, go on.
I was going to say, like, the typically conversations we have around like industries that have naturally hold sensitive information, like maybe finance, maybe it's to do with like health and bio or something like that, or defense or something like that. There's always I think there was more so a reluctancy to lean into AI because it's like, okay, we're handling sensitive information stuff, but that's definitely changing now. Are the people you speak with, are they like a little bit more AGI pilled like now compared to like how much education is there on your side?
A lot. Yeah, I mean,
really?
like, these were
there's a lot.
We have to do a lot of education. I think it depends on the segment in the market, right? If you look up market, you've got the large consultancies helping to walk the corridors and evangelize some of this. But when we go to a certain level, they depend on us, right? The technology provider.
This is like SMB level, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just gauging where we sit because I always ask a question when I'm speaking with a client or a prospect: is this interesting to you, or is it a priority? Right? Because I'll always go and spend an hour with someone to tell them a bit about what we do, how we do it, and how it can add value. But I can't be here to be your support mechanism until you make a decision. Like, I need to know there's conviction at the end of this thing, right? Like, our investors are just over there looking at me. I got to make this thing. I got to make this thing move, right? So I can't sit here and have cups of tea all day. But nonetheless, it is about like co-education. The piece on data is really important. I think this is where there's a little bit of a trust dilemma with what happens when it goes into a model, right, and a black box. The FCA really is mindful of this, right? These are the types of things that are baked into us, right, from the start. And whether you're ISO or SOC 2, all of this is just part of that solution. And I think it's table stakes. To play this game in the space we're in, you've got to play that, right? You've got to have it there. You've got to tick the boxes before you even start talking about, okay, like, what's the value? How much time am I going to give you back, right? How do you engage? What's the behavioral change with all of this?
How are the FCA, like, I've literally no idea, I've never looked into this, but like, how are the FCA, like we mentioned earlier, like public sectors in the UK are moving surprisingly quick with AI. Like, we've had the Minister of AI on the show multiple times, Kanishka. He's doing a lot of great stuff, but he has like a mini SWAT team. I can imagine that the FCA probably wouldn't be part of that. How are they feeling about AI? Are they like kind of, I assume they're not like opening their doors, like get all that in here, but
here's the thing, right? Like, I think it's got to be balanced. If you look at a regulated sector like a bank, they actually appreciate some guidelines. They want some guidelines to work within. So with what the FCA, maybe the PRA, the EU Act, right? That's where maybe the balance is slightly skewed in another direction. This is good because it helps us all be on the same level playing field. Like, technology vendors know where they can go to, and a consumer or a buyer or a decision maker knows exactly what's within the confines of kind of safe, equitable AI, right? Now, for us personally at Covecta, what we don't do is automated decisioning. So we kind of remove some elements of, okay, what's the bias in the model, and then this automated decision. So actually, we intentionally have built agents around that particular moment in time for a credit decision to you just open up much more challenging conversations internally around governance. Okay, what is happening in this black box? And a lot of banks have their own proprietary models, right? Like you got to go disrupt something. Yeah. If you look at a lot of the pro-consumer apps out there, we all know which ones, right? That have gone from 0 to 500 million in the last 2 or 3 years. They are not disrupting existing technology. We really are. Yeah. So we've got to find a path of least resistance to get there quickly.
Yeah, makes sense.
You mentioned about the outcome-based kind of like, selling an outcome, not just selling the software behind it or the agents behind it. Can you talk to us about what the importance of selling that outcome is, sure. Right? Because the reason we're here and the whole kind of theme around Agentforce or the World Summit is actually having showing that the agents are actually working within the business, the actual adoption within the agents. Like what is the tangible thing that's happening in my business that I've done when I've adopted an agent?
So let me frame a concept that I think's probably relevant to you guys or you're aware of, and then I'll talk about our use cases. Like software was a product, software was a service, software is now a worker. Yeah. Right? It's like it should be treated very differently. Like it's not something that sits within your tech stack. It's not something that sits within your IT budget. It's now actually something that does your work. It's not a system of record. It should be sitting within your org chart. At Covecta, all of our AI tools are actually just factored in as a fully loaded cost alongside your pension, your medical, and everything else. And that's how we roll this.
Interesting.
So it's not a line item with IT anymore. It's like if you want to hire someone, expect this scale, and actually we just attach an AI cost. So that's how these.
Is that part of like an employment contract type vibe, or is it like where it's like these are my benefits for my job?
Yeah. So everything can be opted in except for the AI tools. You got to use them. Right? Okay. And it's like, hey, we're going to say you can spend $18,000 a year per employee. To that effect, right? And if you're an engineer, we're agnostic of Cursor or Claude Code. If you're a sales guy, hey, if you think Claude Cowork is the right tool, go use it. If you want to go find another proprietary tool that's within the governance of what we need to do, go at it, right? And so you asked about where's the educational journey? I think it's bringing these concepts to our clients that helps them make decisions and how they think about deploying it. Because part of the model with humans is you don't pay per seat, do you? Right? You look at someone's job description and you say, well, here's your bio, here's your experience, and this is what you say you can deliver.
That's it.
Fantastic. Right? Can you go like that, please? It's the same thing that we should expect with agents, right? You are outcome based. Now, I don't think there's many people in the market that are charging a percentage of revenue growth or cost saving yet. I'm not sure that's really that feasible, because if I was going to go pitch that to procurement, they're going to tell me, well, how much of that revenue growth are you actually contributing to? But what we do is we say, hey, look, you want to go and accelerate your throughput at the top of funnel, or you want to reduce your cost to serve on the post-close side? Right, okay. It takes you 10 hours now to close a loan. We're going to turn it into 35 minutes. This is your X, that's your Y. Here's the volume you think you need. We think there's a balance in value there. And that's how we attach it, right?
Do you get paid before that, or do you get paid afterwards?
We do multi-year contracts. We don't do any POCs. We don't believe in POCs, right? We never do them. They're a cause to failure. And we'll do a multi-year deal. The full deal is paid up front, or the full subscription for the annual term is up front. And it works well because there's transparency in what they're getting and an element of budgeting. So.
It's a really exciting topic, and I think our first sort of cross with this area of was Julian Beck at one of the partners at Sequoia writing a piece that did pretty good numbers online around the next $1 trillion firm will be a software business masquerading as a services firm, essentially. And we saw Friedrich Helm from Voy recently launched Pit with A16Z backing around they're building this sort of product team that sells outcomes. I think it has to be where things are going just based off this agentic framework and this agentic systems that are getting set up. You have different views?
I agree and I disagree with that. I think it depends what you're trying to become and what you're trying to be. So look, Anthropic and OpenAI have just said and agreed with you because they've just gone and stood up 2 massive professional services firms.
Yeah, that was nuts, actually.
Yeah, it's massive, right? But they've said, hey, look, you know what? It's pretty hard to get these models, as great as they are, to do what I need to do in a workflow and a solution. So they're saying, hey, look, if you want this, you've got to go spend probably a few million to make it work. Before they stood up their own teams, they were saying, hey, go work with your consultant. There was a partner model. I think where this is going to work is if I'm a generalist provider, pick any generalist AI firm. There's quite a few that we don't need to necessarily name, right? But they'll say they're in healthcare, logistics, FS, retail. for them to actually deliver the value, they need to be PS heavy because they need to go build something very probably bespoke for you, right? Our view is slightly different. Because we're focused on this space, we actually think we should be delivering that to you anyway. We should be getting you 90% of the way there.
Okay.
We should be investing in this. We are the solution.
Sure.
But we then deploy 2 key roles. We deploy an AI evangelist, which is like applied AI, to help you drive adoption, configure your agents, make it a success, and then the FDEs to go and integrate into your stack. But what you should not need to do, and we have failed if this is the case, is actually build a workflow solution, right? You should not need to go and optimize your ingestion engine yourself. We should do that. That should be something we already have on our roadmap and we're listening and delivering.
So workflows aren't necessarily changed. Well, you know, you don't have to pull away from the workflow to then go
underwriting a mortgage is underwriting a mortgage.
Yeah.
What changes bank by bank, lender by lender is the policies, the risk thresholds, and the requirements, right?
Yeah.
That's where we configure that together with your policies and your guidelines and your process.
Sure.
Right, yeah, everyone says they're slightly unique, and they are, but actually, if you're really deep in this domain, you can deliver huge value. So look, we're gonna have an element of professional services. I've come from the SaaS world where it was 3% PS, 97% ARR. Quite nice.
Yeah.
It's probably more like 10, 20% PS now for someone like us. Maybe some of the other players, to your point, it's 50-50. I don't know, right? But you can put it in as a recurring line item and just say, hey, customer, you got to pay for this PS on a recurring basis. Yeah. You can still take it to the recurring line, right? So it's not. You just mix the type of revenue. It's still recurring.
Yeah, still. I don't know.
Love it.
The accountants work that out, right?
Yeah.
They can work that out. We are at time. We're 1 minute over.
Good.
But mate, thank you so much for joining us.
Can I ask any questions? No, I'm joking.
No, we
can't.
Yeah. We only ask questions.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it, mate.
That's good fun. Yeah.
Cheers
Next time, yeah?
Cheers, dude. Have a good one.
Let's do it.
Up next, we've got Quinton, Pienaar, EMEA, customer transformation at PwC. Ready whenever you are, sir.
Hey, Quinton, how's it going?
Welcome to the show, man.
Good to meet you.
How you doing? Good to meet you.
I didn't get your name.
Ronan.
Ronan, hi, Ronan. Good to meet you.
Pleasure. Welcome to the European Technology Network.
Brilliant.
We're
Well,
good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Quick word of advice on the mic. We've been told, can we talk into the mic because people are talking around the mic. But maybe for the stream and the viewers at home, do you want to introduce yourself, what you focus on? You probably don't need to introduce PwC because everyone knows what PwC is. But your remit there, what's top of mind for you?
Okay, cool. Are we ready? We're
going.
Live.
We run for 3 hours, so we're just going and going. So.
Okay, cool. So my name's Quinton Pienaar. I lead our Salesforce Alliance in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and I also lead our customer transformation solution, which is all of the stuff we do around the technology, all the change and the design and that type of thing. Over the last year or so, I've also focused on something called orchestrated AI operating models, which is more than just deploying AI as a technology. It's about how do we actually get the business value out of AI and how do we change the way and transform the way an organization works.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is literally what we've been banging on about for the last 3 months in terms of like, we're saying this is like the year of like value / adoption, where like we've had, again, to use the same example that we've said previously, but 3 years back it was AI is great, how do we get this, we really want it. Year 2 was, okay, it's here, we're spending loads of money on it.
Let's just spend a bunch of money.
Is it working? Yeah, we don't know. Are we getting value from it? We're not really sure, but like we're spending a lot of money. Year 3 is like, okay, we understand it now. We understand how to deploy it. Where can we get the value from it? Where can we extend that value to our customers as well?
Yeah, and I think when I speak to folks, they go like, AI is real, AI is here, we've got to do something. We don't know where to start. Because in the past, everyone's run use cases. The use cases are great because it's got you exposure and that type of thing. But it hasn't led to that, there's been lots of reports, the MIT report, our own CEO survey, it's gone like the value after the use cases, they don't scale, they don't get to production, or that they fail to deliver the business.
Yeah. And what's it actually doing for the top line, bottom line? Like, you can't see that, right? So that's the whole point now, is actually figuring out what is the tangible thing that agents or whatever are actually doing for the business.
And that's why we go, this is an operating model thing. It's not a technology drop.
Sure.
So we start by investigating or analyzing the level 4 processes of an organization. And we break those down into jobs, tasks, decisions, and actions. Because at a decision and action point, it's the lowest common denominator. And at that point, we score them. We give them a business value score. What's either the revenue uplift and or the cost out that happens if you automate these decisions. And then also we look at a risk score to say, yeah, you can automate these decisions, but should you? Because and I look at it like this, saying, if a decision is made, can you either reverse it if it's wrong? And if you can't reverse it, you've got to think carefully about whether you want to automate it.
Yeah.
And also, if it is wrong, what's the liability? Because if the liability is higher than you can afford, don't automate it. So we go from process automation to decision automation.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is the you're at the forefront of the kind of agentic world changing from assistant tooling to more like autonomous stuff, right? How has that changed in terms of that's only happened over the past like 6 months as well, right? Like they were kind of assistants and they were helping a little bit, but now they're like fully fledged autonomous. They are they're telling you, oh, this is probably the best thing to do instead of this, or whatever it is. How is that changing within the organization? Or how does that actually change your role of like allowing companies to adopt some of these tools?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing of moving from these assistants, where I think the gain is to the person. Now, obviously, the personal gain goes back to the organization, but it's hard to measure, right? So if I'm a bit more productive, do I use that time to go play golf, or do I use it to do a bit more work, right?
I'd be doing the golf.
You'd be on the beach.
I'd be on the beach.
So that's the thing. But now you move into this a little bit more, okay, the capability to automate bigger parts of the organization.
Yeah.
To embed it into the sort of the flow of work. And now you're starting to see, okay, well, now we can start measuring. And a CFO or a COO can go, I can see how we change the organization, how the flow of information changes, and how we can either take some cost out or do some more sales. I mean, I had a conversation with the board yesterday. We had them in our office for a day. And the conversations we were having was around stuff like, what does an agentic go-to-market look like? Because actually what we want to do is we want to grow. We don't just want to take cost out of our service centers. We want to grow. So what does agentic go-to-market look like? How do we automate some of that? How do we do more research? How do we be more in touch with our customers?
Yeah, really interesting. Focusing on the UK for a little bit, like you guys are at the forefront of this UK agentic adoption. Like, what is PwC's lens here? What are you guys like? What's top of mind for you guys across like UK AI, UK agentic stuff?
I feel like our adoption in the UK specifically is really good, right? Is that correct?
It depends what you're comparing it to. I would say we probably still lag the US a little.
For sure.
But then you look at the rest of Europe. I think the UK is a leader, definitely. At least we don't battle to get into it to see well, that's partly because I work for PwC, but partly if you want to have an agentic operating model discussion, talk about delivering business benefits with AI and automation, C-level executives want to speak to you, right?
Yeah.
In the UK. You see somewhat across different European territories, maybe slightly less enthusiasm, I think, in this space. So the UK is definitely at the forefront, and maybe that in the Middle East, to be fair. The Middle East often push the boundaries in terms of how much they want to adopt and how quickly they can adopt.
You mentioned you were in a board meeting where or you're speaking to the board, and they were saying, let's not just look at cost cutting, let's look at value creation, right? How when did that change? When did companies stop saying, hey, we can reduce our costs by using our AI, but now we can go and actually affect the top line and figure out how can we actually go and get more customers, or how can we figure out different ways to win within the market that we're sitting in? When did that actually kind of become a thing?
Well, it was interesting because this conversation we were having is this organization says to me, we're largely a sales organization. Like more than half of what we do is sales and marketing.
Yeah.
But all of our AI investments are going into service, right? Yeah. And they're going like, actually, we realize now we're not on strategy, right? And so I think service is such a well-trodden path. We understand it. It's so well metriced. A call center, you know what call handling times are and stuff. So it's an easy place to start because there's feedback loops and you can implement AI and see the outcome. When you get into the go-to-market, when you get into sales and stuff, it's not as easy to measure. So I think people sort of stay away from it. And that was the discussion we were having, was going, well, let's not think about it like you're going to change your whole. So let's think about a go-to-market function. Let's think about how you do outreach. Let's think about how you do market research. Because those actions and decisions are prime ones for us to start looking at how we can accelerate and extend with agents and inform the salespeople to be able to do their job.
Yeah. Have you seen an organization change their maybe go-to-market function or their sales function using AI and like really seeing a difference in their top line? Or
So we've seen a number, and sometimes it's not as big as you think, right? So sometimes it's not a whole scale, I'm going to change everything. And sometimes it's like I've heard, discussions with folks that do something as simple as a sales coach that listens to a sales call center, listens to the call, summarizes it, and sends you real-time coaching. Just post the call to go, hey, this was listening to this. We think you could have done A, B, and C better, and that gets into the salesperson and the sales manager. So, but that is at a marked improvement in the outcome of the sales calls, because in real time you're getting that feedback. So it doesn't always have to be a wholesale change to the entire function.
Yeah, it's really interesting. From your perspective, like I'm realizing you guys probably have like one of the best in the world, like vantage points on like enterprises, like executive leaders at enterprises, how they're thinking about AI, how like what's top of mind for them, what are they struggling with maybe, like are there like common trends that you guys see that people come to you and like, oh, I need like this for this, and you're like, oh guys, we have another one. It's the same one again. Like is there a theme, is there a trend? Like,
I think there are a couple. I think and probably some that you'll be bored by hearing because you hear it all the time. So data, right? Everyone's worried to go, like, can I do this AI thing? I don't know if I've got the right data. My data's federated. And I always say to them, I don't think you need perfect data. I think you can read wide, like you can get the agents to read unstructured and sometimes not the most complete data, but you've got to write narrow. You've got to be able to commit the actions narrow, so then you've got to be sure about your data. So that's the one. Data's a big one. I think the other thing that worries C-level executives is that they know they've got to do something, but the pace of change is hard. There's new models all the time. Should I go to OpenAI? Should I go to Anthropic? And then the model's available and it gets turned back. So and then you get some of the stories about costs spiraling. So there's a lot of uncertainty there, saying like, how do we start? Where do we start? How do we control it? That's a big thing I hear is I worry about automating all these decisions and losing control. And a lot of our discussions are about how do we help govern that? How do we help give visibility to that? So that you don't feel like you're losing touch with the organization.
Yeah. And that must be a tough one for those conversations, right? Because it's like they're probably seeing things change so fast. Like who is the world leading model? Like which one do we need? Is this one better for enterprises? Is this one more of a consumer sort of app? How do you guys even go about educating them on like, well, look, we think this one maybe is best, or is it like just overlaid like this one's at the top right now, so you guys should use this one? Like,
yeah, and I think our approach is what we suggest is this is an ecosystem. This isn't a winner takes all. I think in my view, the Salesforces of the world and some of the enterprise, like the ERPs of the world, they've got a place, right? I'm not sure you want to go rebuild your finance system in a native AI platform. I'm not sure there's what the benefit would be. So I think the first thing we say, this is an ecosystem play, and we've got to figure out how to get the different technologies and the intelligence to work together. The other thing that we'd say is I think each platform has got its pros and cons, right? And so helping them understand those. So if there's a shortcoming on a particular platform, how would we work to be able to sort of buffer that up? So I don't think our approach is ever like just choose one and it'll do everything, because I don't think any of the products are quite there to be able to do it all.
Yeah. Really interesting take. I guess over the next 6 months, like, is there like something that PwC is trying to focus on? Is there something that you guys have as a North Star for the business at the moment? Like, I guess obviously it'll be around like agentic AI and that sort of area, but and is it a follow-on question I'm now realizing live as we're having this conversation is, how do you guys keep up with that change, right? Like you can set a goal, you can set a North Star, but again, what we always say, like a week in AI world is like a year, right? Like things are changing. I think there's a running joke online on Twitter that's like, to be able to keep up with the space, you have to be either unemployed or like a podcaster in the space, which is kind of the same thing, really. But yeah, like how do you guys manage that?
I mean, I think 2 or 3 things. So the first thing we did, and we've been quite public about it, we've been on like large-scale campaigns to enable our people, to give them the right tools, to invest in their knowledge. So democratizing AI as much as possible, putting it in the hands of people rather than trying to control it centrally is part of that. I think the other thing is you've got to be curious. You've got to want to spend a bit of time getting your hands, like, it's been a long time since I've had my, really done technology work myself. I've got teams of people that do that, but in this space, I'm building, I'm creating my own stuff, I'm experimenting, I'm researching. And it is a bit of side of desk, and it's a bit of weekends and a bit of nights, but it does change so quickly. If you want to be informed, you got to commit a bit of time on the side. And then I think you need that North Star. You spoke of a North Star. I think this is unlike other technologies because we've democratized it so much, and because there's so many experimentations and hobby projects and that type of thing, and great innovation. You need some way to bind that together to say what's the outcome we're trying to achieve, and how do we get there. So you got to bring that sort of top down, the bottom up, and try and corral the energy of the organization into a specific direction.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Super cool, man. Thanks for the time.
Right,
We appreciate
brilliant.
it. We're out of time.
Are we getting pushed?
Yeah, really good to meet you.
Hey, thanks so much. That was brilliant. Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. That was awesome.
Here we go. We have Roz Maher, Head of Marketing Technology at Trustpilot. Please.
Ready whenever you are.
Hey, how's it going? Lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
Hey, Ronan. Nice to meet you. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
No, of course. Thanks for
Welcome
the
to
time.
the show. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How's your day going?
It's going well so far. Yeah,
We're past halfway. We've had, I don't know how many, like 9 guests on so far. We've got another
we're doing what we do
4-ish.
best.
So do you do a continuous stream?
Yeah, so this is
Literally
live.
3 hours. We're live right now.
That's like a real feat of endurance, isn't it?
yeah. People call it extreme podcasting. It's,
It really is. You must go home and just be exhausted.
I think at the beginning when we started doing 3 hours of live podcasting, it was, but now
it's
we've
kind of
got
where the
the
bar is
resilience.
at.
Oh, you've got the stamina. You've got it.
But look, let's not talk about us and our podcasting resilience. Let's talk about you. Do you want to introduce yourself for the stream, for the viewers at home? Who are you? What do you focus on? And give us a breakdown of Trustpilot as well.
Yes, so I am Roz Maher, and I'm head of marketing technology at Trustpilot. I've been at Trustpilot for a couple of years now, and so I head up our marketing technology division, which just means that anything that's in our marketing stack falls within my area to make sure that we're ready with our go-to-market operations to do the marketing that we need to do.
Awesome.
And practically, like, what does that role at Trustpilot specifically look like? Like, what does like a day-to-day look like for you?
So day to day, my main role is to make sure that we are able to operate our marketing function. So making sure we're able to send emails, able to do paid ads, and that we've got the data available in order to do them. So that's my sort of day to day. And then I also deal with all of the strategy. So where are we going with our marketing technology? What have we got coming up? What are we working on in the next quarter, the next year, the next 3 years?
Yeah.
So all of that falls within
Amazing.
my area.
Have you seen the role evolve over the last few months at all? I imagine there's probably been like elements of disruption with agentic workflows, that type of thing, or even just focusing on capturing the attention associated with the agentic frontier. Like, how's it changed?
It's interesting because the role has and the expectation and what we're outputting has just really accelerated since we've had AI. It's like we're in this big AI race with everybody. I'm sure anyone else in this in the technology sector would agree. It just feels like we are just innovating quicker, moving faster, making quicker decisions, and just it's a really exciting time. It can be a bit stressful at times, but it is also really exciting. I do genuinely think that we're lucky to be in our careers at this stage because we have the power and the ability to be able to determine the direction we go in.
Yeah.
How does how is kind of like the adoption of AI within all of these companies kind of change like the trust market? Like how do you guys manage and kind of measure that? And I imagine there's just so many kind of things flying around that you have to, you're one of the companies that needs to make sense of it all. So like, how does it kind of, how have you guys navigated that over the past year or so?
Yeah, so it kind of doesn't matter how fast we're evolving. We still, at Trustpilot, we have to put trust at the center of everything we do. Otherwise, our whole product falls apart. Yeah. So we will always put the guardrails and the required trust at the center of everything, and then capability comes second.
Sure.
So, for example, when we're looking at agentic builds, the very core of what we do will be the guardrails. So what do we want this agent to not do? What can it absolutely not say? What guardrails do we need in place to make sure it's adhering to our code of conduct? That will be the very center of all of our agents to make sure that we're maintaining that trust. But it's an interesting one because even though we're innovating at pace and we're going really quickly, it's just one thing that we're just not compromising on. So if we keep that as our sort of our standard layer, then I think we'll be okay.
It's not like I don't know. Like in the age of agentic AI/AI, like one of the recurring themes for a while was trust, and we've discussed with multiple founders or execs that sit in maybe areas that would be naturally house more like sensitive data, for example, whether it's finance or like medicinal type areas of work, like pharma or whatever. But like your business model is kind of attached to making sure that you can rely on, certain elements of trust, right? Like, has that been a challenge at all for you guys to navigate, especially in marketing when you're handling like the comms of, the company? Like, is it something that you embrace and open up? Like, how do you like balance the two in a way?
So it's probably a challenge that we are quite happy to have to maintain that level of trust across everything that we do, and we're very mindful and cognizant of that in everything that we do, particularly around marketing comms or commercial communications. We need to make sure that we are maintaining it. But yeah, it's something that we find exciting about what we do.
Do you think the role is changing then? It will change over the next 6 months? Like, how do you think the role as like a brand marketer is evolving in the age of AI?
I think data plays such a pivotal part of it now. Like, data has always been the big unlock, hasn't it, for being able to do anything within particularly marketing space. And your marketing efforts are only ever going to be as good as your data. But it just, because we want to be more personalized, we want to reach out to more people, we want to make more tailored experiences. Basically, the better your data is, the better that is going to be as well. So having easily accessible, unified data is just, it's really very pivotal.
Interesting.
Does that, I guess, then again, with AI, it's able to extract more data from people. Do you think people get a little bit worried about the fact that their data might be kind of flying around, like more of it might be being extracted using AI, or do you think that that's like just, the way that things are going and people, are adopting it okay? The fact that,
I guess when you were talking about more generally AI rather than just Trustpilot, I guess people are probably a little bit concerned about it. At Trustpilot, obviously, we use it in a responsible way. We don't engage with anything that would potentially be harmful to our reputation because we place so much importance on it. And it's very easy to undo a reputation. It's quite difficult to build. But yeah, I can imagine more widely, people probably are a bit concerned about AI's ability to extract data, but that's why I'd always say make sure you're using reputable sources. Like Trustpilot can help be part of that because we've got, obviously, we're interconnected with all the big LLMs, and Trustpilot data is, being surfaced in there, so who you can trust, who maybe not quite so trustworthy. So yeah, Trustpilot does play a big part in that.
Really cool. Well, like from your perspective, you probably have a better handle on this than most people, but like advice for people building the next set of frontier technology, like a lot of the people that we have on the company are startups that they're usually focused on a North Star that is like, let's scale this thing. Is there, I don't know, like, can you maybe advise these individuals on like the steps they should be taking, or like, I guess, as they start to push the European innovation frontier forward, like, is there things that they should be conscious of that you guys like know about? Or?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. The first thing is that everybody at this stage are learning as they go. There's no experts really. So I'd say get stuck in, get your hands dirty, give it a go. Like, some things will fail, some things will be a success, and then the next half of that is iterate on what you're doing. Test, improve, start off with an MVP, and then think about, okay, what is V2 bringing? What's V3? And you'll probably end up with V8 before you're remotely happy. But I think just getting stuck in and not being afraid to try stuff is probably my best advice.
Yeah. Really cool.
How much is that baked into the Trustpilot culture in terms of like, trying new things, obviously like, within a sandbox or not, but, kind of allowing, like giving almost like agency and autonomy to the employees of allowing them to go and experiment with things and say, hey, like, what if we did this with the data that we have? Or, what if this was a little bit different if I go and implement, I don't know, this, whatever. How much is that baked into the kind of Trustpilot culture?
Yeah, so I think we balance it quite well because we don't have a huge appetite for risk, particularly for customer-facing things like agents, for example. But then if it's something that's an internal initiative and somebody's got an idea, I think there is a lot of space to innovate and grow, which, that's very exciting for us as employees, because it means that if you have an idea, you could actually see it come to life and you could see it adding value.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say it's a really nice balance of, doing the right thing and having not a particularly healthy appetite for risk when it's important, but then when it's an opportunity to scale or to grow, then internally you can definitely make waves.
Yeah. How big is Trustpilot in terms of employee count?
So we've got 1,100 employees,
okay.
But the exciting thing is that we're all over the world. So you've got we've got people sat in Denver, New York, Milan, Hamburg.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Awesome. What how we mentioned that? Well, we covered it in terms of the MarTech stack, but 11,000 employees. Like, how is Trustpilot as a 1,100 employees. Yeah, big deal. On order of magnitude different. How are Trustpilot employees as a company like shipping in the agentic world? Like, are there products that are leaning into this? Are that you've mentioned like briefly like leveraging some LLMs internally? Like, is there anything that you guys are like trying to position yourself as or like take advantage of in this next like era that we're in?
Yeah. What does like Trustpilot look like in like 5 years? With like.
Oh, well, I don't even know if we can answer that. Like, AI and the opportunities are growing so rapidly. But even thinking more short term, so we live and die by our Slack. So I don't know if you guys are Slack users, but we as a company, because we are all spread out, we have to stay connected through Slack. And having used other messaging tools at other companies, I'd say Slack is really good for keeping you well connected. And even though I might be sat in London and my developer is sat somewhere else like for example, I've got one in Dallas, we can still feel connected and jump on a huddle and we can still be working in real time on things. So I think moving to utilize a tool like Slack and moving more into like the headless 360 era is probably where I would be aspiring to move to. So looking at just using Slack as one single interface, not having to log into lots of different systems, that would be my big aspiration for 2027.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is pretty cool, yeah. And I've been building out some use cases with one of our data analysts, and I think the opportunities are endless.
And how like collaborative is that? Like, what are these? How are you like working on that? Is that like these are specific use cases that you can like ship to products like based on roadmap? But how does that work?
The way that I'm working on this particular initiative is that I know that we have a visibility issue where perhaps not all of our marketing stakeholders might have access to the right dashboard at the right time. But I'm removing that friction by proposing that, okay, don't worry about logging onto a separate system so you can go and see your dashboard. How about that information drops into you in your Slack every morning, or even you could use the AI Copilot and you could say, what is the latest on my marketing campaign? The idea is that we turn that so that you're just using Slack as your interface. You don't have to faff around
need to go to another
exactly, yeah.
interface.
And it means that the CMO can see the same information as a marketing manager, and everybody in between can have access to that information. It just means you can be more reactive. You can make quicker decisions. You've got more data behind that. So yeah.
Really cool.
How much are you using because I find myself
got pinged.
Are we off?
Yeah. Sorry, we just got pinged for the next guest, so we're running over already. Ross, thank you so much for joining us.
Away. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
We need to get better at managing our time.
It's obviously lots of fun.
Coming on, cheers.
Whoopsies.
Okay, Joe is ready for us. Ready for you, sir.
Here he is.
Hey, sir, how's it going? Good to meet you. Good to see you.
Ronan.
Pleasure. Good to see you guys.
Thanks for coming on. Joe, welcome to the European Technology Network.
Thanks for inviting us, by the way. This is cool.
Yeah, thanks for having us here. Was really looking forward to this conversation because we covered the Fin acquisition.
Oh, nice.
The other day, covered it again just as we opened up the show today. Would love to start with like an introduction from yourself. Sure. What are you focused on here at Salesforce? And then, I've got my first question ready. It's
okay, great. Well, I'm Joe Inzerillo. I'm the president of Enterprise and AI Technology. So I have a kind of dual role at Salesforce. So I look after part of our product organization. So I have Slack, I have design, I have a couple other things that are the actual product. But then I also run our office of the CIO. And so all of our internal use of technology is also mine. So on one hand, I'm the vendor of the technology, and on the other hand, I'm actually the consumer of the technology. And we kind of call that motion customer zero, like us using our own stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of the first person that was actually in both camps, which has been really exciting.
Yeah. So and also, okay, first question off the back of that. I know you want to ask about that.
We can wait.
If you're customer zero, right? Does that mean that you ask your real customers less things about the product, in terms of there are just so many things that you might come up with and your team might come up with when they're using the products, and they go, hey, this would be really good. Let's go and build that. You go and build that. Does that mean that you're kind of just shipping constantly with your own feedback, or are you guys saying, let's not look at this for now. Let's go and ask customers and figure out what they think?
No, it's a great question. I think it's actually probably talk to more customers.
Okay.
But I think because we understand the danger, right? Like, you could have an overfitted solution where we think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes people's taste in music, right? You're like, oh my God, it's the best mixtape ever. And somebody else listens to it. They're like, why would you put that on there? You know? So we definitely want to take our own feedback, but honestly, getting out and talking to customers helps me earlier in the product development lifecycle. So there are times I'll take customer feedback and then I'll run experiments inside of Salesforce that I might not have actually run if I was just looking at our stuff.
Sure.
To try to suss out if that's actually something that's either doable or a good idea.
Yeah, sure.
I guess this is connected to the Salesforce journey over the last 25 years, 27 years. Insane. Referencing a comment from the CEO of Finn, mentioning Benioff has been kind of like the godfather of SaaS in many ways. He's kind of built the playbook, ran the model, won at the game. But you've probably seen a really good inside look as to how Salesforce, Agentforce has adapted through the years, very much like Intercom and Finn have as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about the journey through this process? What have you seen in terms of the company changing and getting ahead of the frontier?
Totally. Well, first off, we couldn't be more excited about Finn. I love Owen. I love those guys. I actually spent some time with the team in Dublin on Monday, right after the announcement, and I actually caught up. We had a little bit of a town hall yesterday with them. So it's great. I mean, I'm really excited about them. I love them. They're scrappy. They're make an incredibly polished product, so it's awesome. I think when I think about Agentforce and I think about Finn, I think that the thing that's great about Finn is they really started with small business and they start to build up. So in many cases, their use cases are simpler than the breadth of what we try to tackle at Agentforce, but they're very refined. And so time to value is really short. The fit and finish of the product's absolutely spectacular. They really have excellent design sensibilities and things like that. Whereas Agentforce is really a platform. I mean, it's at scale, designed to have 150,000 customers and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit more of an erector set. I think especially when we started, we're now starting to get into it, especially with things like Headless 360, where you can now use other coding agents to build Agentforce agents. I think you're starting to see it gets easier and easier to build. But we really were trying to solve two different problems. And I think the fusion of the two together is just super exciting. I mean,
if it's easier to build, are you, what's the main hurdle now? AI is kind of, it's agentically building things. It's, it's autonomously telling you to go and do this or that in the business, right? What are the hurdles? Is it compute? Is it adoption within certain teams? Is it the data layer behind it? What's that hurdle that you're now focused on when all these agents are building things for you and building isn't that hurdle anymore?
Yeah, I think there's sort of two things I see with companies writ large. The first is for companies who haven't started, especially, is fear. And even for companies that are put a toe in the water, there's still fear. And I think the fear is we're going to mess it up, or we made the wrong choice, or I don't want to commit on platform because I'm worried that I'm going to make the wrong one. Sure. And I think that's actually by far the biggest hurdle, which is why it's so important we do events like this and we get out there and talk to people and we show customer stories. You hear from F1, you hear from all these other companies that are out there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's really important. I think the thing, though, that really happens is when people go off the skids a little bit, I think it comes down to two things. One is that they treat agents like software. And agents are not software. You can't just sort of set it and forget it. You have to constantly be treating it like digital labor, right? It's not a person, but you have to treat it like an intern at some level and constantly monitor performance, tune, and things like that. And so a lot of the people that sort of, they try for a little while. They didn't quite get lucky on the first couple of tries. And they're like, well, this doesn't work. And it's like, no, you just haven't put enough time in like getting it there. Some people hit it on the first try and they're like, oh, amazing. And then they walk away, and 2 weeks later, they're like, why is this thing working worse? You know? And it's because all this stuff drifts. Like, you just have to constantly be tuning it. So I think that's a big part of it, is treating it like software. I also think the bigger problem with the people who are like in between those two ends is that people try to think about it like, I'm going to replace a human's job. And a human's job is a tall order. Like, you're paying people for their intellect, you're paying them for their reasoning abilities and things. And to like encode that all into an agent from Go, it's really tough. So it's more about, okay, what processes, what part of people's job to be done can I actually give the agent to do? And so I think people that basically like get in and say, look, I'm going to take this job, I'm going to start small, I'll learn how to mature these agents, and then I'm going to accelerate and go fast, which is what we did internally. They are the ones who are killing it. But if you just try to go square wave into the thing, it's a really tough road.
Yeah. I think there has to be an element of like, especially earlier on. I mean, like, I would keep referring to them, but like, when Des came on our show, he said, literally, quote, is like, you either correct your company or the market corrects it for you. So like, they led in, and he said, like, we bet the company on it.
They literally ripped out,
and it
they
worked.
were like this, you know, they were the SaaS gods, right? Like, they were killing it.
Yeah.
Ripped it out, and then they just did a huge U-turn, and like, we obviously have huge respect for that.
Yeah. But imagine those conversations at the board level, right? It's like, hey guys, we're gonna, like, I know we've built this amazing thing, but we're gonna completely almost tear it down and go from scratch, which is like an insane. And it kind of does speak to, I guess, like, you have to lean in, especially now. Connected to that, like, is there an area that Salesforce is looking to lean into more over the next 6-12 months? Like, what's the top theme for you guys across AI, like agentic sort of stuff? Is there like a North Star that you're following right now? Is that kind of changing, I guess, with the world moving pretty quickly?
Yeah. Well, it's always changing. So like the speed, it's like one of those things, the speed limit was, 30 kph and now it's 100, and it's not going back to 30. It's going to go to 200 if anything. So I think everything's accelerated. So yeah, things are very frenetic. I think when I think about it, I think about things like, let's say in Slack, multiplayer coding, super important. So, Slack is, you look at any AI company that's out there, they're living on Slack, which is great, but we can't stay stagnant. So like, what's the next level and what's the next level? And I think agents are enabling us to move way faster. Slackbot's been a huge success. Like, when people use, I have not run into one person who used Slackbot. I was like, yeah, it's okay. Everybody who uses is like, this product is awesome, right? I think when you look at the portfolio, Fin is a really good example of like an acquisition we're making. We announced that we're acquiring Contentful, from a CMS standpoint, headless CMS standpoint. So we're out there looking for companies that have the right talent, the right products that we can bring into the fold. And I think Fin is a great example. Like, I love Des. Like, those guys have the fire that Mark and Parker had when they started Salesforce. And Mark and Parker, by the way, still have that fire. But bringing more and more of that DNA into us, folks that have bet big, that really understand this technology, how to make people successful at this technology, you can't have enough of that.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
On the timing of the Fin acquisition, why do you think now was the right time to kind of bring them on? They've been killing it for at least a few years with Fin. What's the what was the conviction like right now to kind of bring them on? Yeah,
I mean, we'd have our eye on them for a while. I think part of it is scale. So, you never know who the dark horses are. So like when companies are getting that trajectory, you want to see a little bit of durability in it before you jump in and buy the company. I also think it's not the first conversation we had. So like getting to know them, getting to know what they're about, making sure that, when you acquire a company, it's just as important that they're acquiring you.
Yeah.
So they have to know what they want, what they're getting in. We have to understand like what we're going to do and what the plan is. And so that takes a little bit of time. But I also think that like, it's just, they hit breakaway in especially the SMB market. They really just got this groove in where like people could get to value fast. And so while they were killing it on the sales side and doing well, if you look at that number, that time to value number, it's just been coming down and down and down. And so you get to a point, you're like, okay, they got the magic. Like they clearly got this on lock. Yeah, they got it on lock. We need to make a move.
I feel like you'd have a great vantage point around like enterprise execs right now. What do you think is top of mind for them with the conversations that you're having around Salesforce, with the customers as well? Like, what's the one thing on their plate that they're trying to they're sort of dying to get in their business? Like a lot of it, again, to bring it back, we've both 3 sort of stages of AI adoption has been we like the look of that thing, and we're told we need it. We've brought it in. We're still understanding how it works. Now it's adoption / value accruing to the actual business and the customers. Right. Is there a trend that you're seeing with these leaders at these AI companies, or the leaders at companies that are trying to adopt AI as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think what's really, the stuff moves so fast that it's actually, I'm sort of amazed actually at how fast the industry's adapting. But we have to remember it's a bell curve. And what I think is actually happening is the bell curve is elongating, right? So SaaS was kind of like, yeah, of course, everybody runs SaaS, right? So we were kind of bunched up in the SaaS world because it was a fairly mature sector. AI is just elongating that bell curve. So you have some folks that are on the very leading edge of it that are doing mind-blowing stuff. But you also have a bunch of people that are like further back.
They're being left behind a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think what's on the mind of every CEO, or what's in the consciousness of CEOs now, is understanding that the transformational change to the organization is just as important as the technological one, perhaps even more important. Because if people don't start thinking differently about their jobs, how do I simplify this? How do I design it so an agent can be successful in doing it? It's sort of like a manufacturing company. If you try to put a robot in to build a car and you're like, okay, well, it's got to put the lug nuts on. You're like, okay, well, that's hard. How about we just put one big nut? That's a better idea.
Yeah.
Because you're designing the car to be built by the robot. And I think you have to think about that when you're a company. You have to say, if I want to agentify, how do I build my company so that the robots, the agents can be successful alongside the humans? And that requires change. And so I think you start to hear that narrative come out where companies are realizing that the reason that maybe their first AI pilot failed wasn't just the tech, or maybe not even the tech at all. It was the actual organization that needed to adapt to a new way of working. We were just with F1, and I told him I have this analogy that I use, which he got a chuckle out of, which is, I tell people, picture a racetrack. You got an F1 car on it. Fantastic. And you got a bunch of speed bumps. So the car goes really fast and then slams on the brakes and goes over the speed bumps. And then it goes really fast and then slams on the brakes again. The speed bumps are the people. There are some would say, oh, well, you got to take the people off the track. I don't think that's right. What you have to do is enable the people with the agentic technology, the right organizational design and all that, so the people become part of the track. Then the car can go around it fast.
Yeah. That's a good analogy. That's good. I actually had a question about this where it's like, I wrote fundamental shift. How is software itself being rewritten, right? You're talking about how is the orgs actually rewriting how these things are working, because the tech might be great, but it's the organization itself and how it's kind of built and the structure around it. Are you guys seeing, in terms of org structure and everything, how does an organization then go about that, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. It's funny because I see sort of parallel things going on in my organization.
Yeah.
So for example, in Slack, we did a Slack event at the end of March, and we showed off a bunch of Slack bot features and things like that. Half the stuff that we showed was originally forecast for the end of this year. But we were able to pull it in because we had very small teams working, they're all aces, right? They're all really good.
Yeah.
Bunch of AI and just cranking. And that small self-contained team, cross-disciplinary designers, engineers, product people in there just going to town. We were able to just compress the timeline, and we're just picking up more and more speed as we convert more teams over to that model. On the DET side, on the enterprise side, I'm running these things called rapid innovation squads, and in the keynote I showed a legal example of this, but 4 or 5 weeks to value. And it's the same thing. 2 to 4 or 5 people, business technologists together, composites technologists, people from product engineering disciplines, design disciplines, just cranking on these use cases. And it's all about what can I get done in 5 to 6 weeks. So rather than look at the totality of the problem and say, how long is it going to take, which you then kind of slouch yourself into a timeline, it's saying, what can I get done in 5 or 6 weeks that can deliver a lot of value? And they're just cranking. And the cycles are just getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
So I think this move against this wide hierarchy pyramid the pyramid's going to get flatter. There'll be less layers, and there'll be more autonomy amongst those teams, and those teams will be more composited.
Sure.
So that the org chart should matter less, because those squads are just the right formula to take advantage of this.
And do you think, you said the cycles are getting quicker, do you think that then the 4 to 6 weeks of a sprint with one focus, do you think that will ultimately get shorter?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the first couple of them, we had this one that I didn't show, which is I've shown it a couple of formats out here, but I didn't show it in the keynote, because it takes a little longer to set up. But it's like a sales demo in Slack showing some cool stuff. And it took 5 weeks. I had a meeting with him. I was like, this is absolutely spectacular. Show me a histogram of where the 5 weeks went. And it actually turns out that the build was 1 week, and the deployment was 1 week, and the rollout was 1 week. The 3 other weeks were like making it safe, testing, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's the stuff we have to agentify.
There you go, nice.
And so I think the way that I think about it is there's human scale and agent scale. Yeah. And anytime that you put a human scale step in between agent scale, you lose a lot of the velocity that you would get with agent. So part of it was like, okay, these steps need to be agentified. And I'll give you a great example that I came to with these RIS squads, which was somebody's like, well, who's going to support this? Okay, we wrote all this code, but like, are these squads going to be, indefinitely supporting these things? What happens when they do stuff? If they can crank out this much thing, how many people are going to support? And you could see what would happen. If you did nothing, you'd either like the RIS squads would just kind of peter out themselves, or your ops team would get gigantic and there'd be all these miscues because they're just getting bullets fired at them to support. And I'm like, no, that's the wrong answer. That's a human answer. The agent answer is when a RIS squad finishes a parcel of work that goes into sort of operations mode, it comes with an operations agent that knows how to run it.
Okay,
and then the ops team is doing 5% of the ops work, 95% of it is the agents themselves, and that's part of the deliverable.
Yeah. Damn, that's interesting.
I truly believe, we're all getting cool, but I truly believe like coding, like the narrative around that like is getting to a point where it is solved in a way. Like that is solved. That free time now can be
crazy.
Which is just nuts. But we're at time, which is annoying. We'd love to do this again. That's so good. Thanks
love to.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us here as well, sir. Appreciate it. Nice one.
Next on the show, we have Franny Hsiao, lead AI architect at Salesforce.
Let's go. Technical chat.
Franny should be joining us any moment now. Franny, would you like to? Hey, how's it going? Lovely to meet you. I'm Luke.
I'm Franny. Good to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Hey, I'm Ronan.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on.
Excited.
Thanks for having us. It's great.
Oh,
this is awesome.
Welcome.
Before I start.
Yeah, don't do that. We're live. We're rolling.
Welcome to the European Technology Network. Your first time on the show.
Yeah. Please
Sorry,
do.
we've had
you just move the mic. Like,
should we just all huddle in? Huddle in real close.
Yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, amazing.
Just make sure the mic is in front of your.
Yeah, we're getting yelled at for like people doing this. So,
Hello.
Okay. Do you want to, for the stream, for the viewers, introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you focus on here at Salesforce? And then we can get into it.
My name is Franny Hsiao. I lead the EMEA team of AI architect at Salesforce. And I can actually say I've been doing AI for more than 25 years.
Let's go.
We got an OG in the house. Let's go.
Been AGI build for 25 years. It's pretty cool.
Fair enough. Let's hear more. Okay, 25 years, that's a long time focusing on AI. How has that world changed?
You heard about Watson, right? When IBM created this supercomputer that beat the top human contestant.
Yeah, was it Deep Blue? Is the name? Yeah.
All of that, right? That was the beginning of, I think, this journey we're on. And I will also be the first to tell you, it doesn't matter that you have 25 years of experience if you don't keep up with what's happening out there in the world. That's changing every day, every week, right? So everything is changing, but I always say we're making progress. Sometimes it feels like we're going in circles, but think of it as like kind of like a spiral staircase. You are making progress, even though sometimes it feels like you're going in circles.
I hear that. We've just got pinged to move your mic. Yes, perfect. Sorry.
Okay.
Can we blow that up a little bit more? Because we literally just said previously that you almost have to be unemployed to keep up with the pace that things are going. So when you say in this sort of circular loop, is it you're saying in a way that we've had a great trajectory, we have been making good progress. I feel like it's been more like step changes instead of like a continuous loop. But this loop thing that you mentioned, like, can we explore that a bit more?
I love to, actually. So I have this framework that I call circular AI. And it's kind of inspired by ecology, right? How nature reuses resources and regenerates, right? And the idea is that when you are learning with AI, and I actually have developed what I call a second brain to augment my own brain. And the idea is I can search through what I know, but my second brain will tell me, actually, this content is a bit stale. Let me find, new content for you to actually learn right? But then I encourage my team to build their second brains as well. And together we create this team brain that's constantly evolving and learning. And then think about this federated corporate brain. That's basically a federation of all of the personal brains that we continue to partner with AI to learn from and continue to contribute. And the loop, think about the feedback that you gather along the way so that when somebody's joining your team for the first time, we don't say, oh, do your onboarding for 6 months, then we'll see what you can do. No, from day one, everything you're learning becomes part of your second brain that goes into the collective brain. And so that's why I think we are making progress continuously, and we should really change a little bit of how we think about AI and progress. It shouldn't be linear, right? It should really be a continuous learning loop.
Yeah.
And what,
that's really interesting.
What allows it to not be linear and be this kind of like continuous, loop? Like how can more teams get to that stage?
So that's really about being proactive about capturing not just the output, right? Because typically linear is input, output. We put something into AI, AI spits out output. But circular means, okay, I give you an app. You can use my app, but you haven't learned how I created this app, right? So let's share the reasoning. Let's share all the problems along the way that I've solved. Let's capture all of that session log and reasoning steps so that we learn from the process, and that becomes circular.
Okay. Super interesting. With this premise, can we maybe shift it towards European AI? Your thoughts on Europe as like a test bed for AI? We have great talent here. I guess a lot of the narrative is typically we can build great neo labs, like smaller entities, scaling them. There comes a point where it's naturally more beneficial to maybe go to the US. But can you maybe talk about your your viewpoint on Europe as an AI test bed?
I love to, because I work with customers all over Europe, right? Amazing. And I do think we're leading in a few areas. Think about digital sovereignty, right? Most of my customers, they of course want to leverage the best out there, but they also want to be sovereign first and governance by design, but as well as being responsible and sustainable. I think that's really something that we are kind of like driving it. Like a lot of my customers are very conscious of the fact, we're building all these data centers. We're using the largest models possible for the little thing. Like for example, in my second brain, I don't know about you, I take a lot of screenshots. And 3 months later, I cannot find that screenshot because it says to screenshot 2026-03, whatever, right? So I have a quantized local model, very tiny, that goes through my screenshots, batch processing, and goes, oh, this is about that interview. Oh, this is about that meeting. And it renames the files, creates summaries and tags, right? And I don't need the best model for that, right? And so a lot of my customers are really driving what I call green AI, frugal AI initiatives. Use only what you need, right-sizing your model. Don't always go with the biggest model for something like tagging your screenshots, right? But also think about using local models, right? Think about extending a model like using RAG instead of retraining all the time. Think about batch processing instead of online referencing all the time, right? So there are things we can do, but if we come back to that circular idea, gather feedback, design it in a way that the output of one AI system becomes the input of another one. And so when you are testing or improving, you could do it in a modular way instead of running everything, right? So I think we are really driving a lot of these responsible initiatives. That keep us,
We spoke to, I was trying to find it. Who did we speak to on Tuesday about, it was the open source.
Miriam from DoubleWord, CEO of DoubleWord, discussing.
CEO of DoubleWord. And we were talking about how DoubleWord allows, it's an open source model, and a lot of it is about, being efficient with the compute that you're using, right? So it's like, back in, and we talked about this on the show today, last year it was about, doesn't matter how much compute we're burning, let's just figure out what the best way to use this technology is, right? Now it's, can we try and figure out what is the most efficient way, and how am I not burning so much compute but getting the task done? Can you talk to us a little bit about that, and about, I guess, your role at Salesforce and how you're thinking about the efficiency of the compute that you guys are using and then your customers are using as well, but then also getting to the output as easily and as efficiently as possible.
I think it's important to talk about the concept of token maxing, right? Because
of course it is.
That is a very simple way of looking at who in my team are using AI. How many workflows have they animated? How many agents have they created? But I feel like that is very superficial. We are creating artificial consumption at the expense of the climate, the environment we live in, right? So it goes back to your question of how do we actually do this responsibly, right? How do we actually understand, first of all, the different models? What are they good at? We're learning that small language models are very efficient, right? And local models, open weight, local models are very efficient. They can run on your phone, they can run on a little chip, right? On your devices, edge network and all of that, right? We need to think broader than just chasing the largest models.
Yeah. Do you think the future then looks like? We spoke to the Minister of AI for the UK the other day, and he was talking about the build out of data centers, like local data centers, but then also you were speaking about kind of like your own small LLMs as well. So do you think it will become this personalized experience? It won't just be these larger model providers. They'll be used for the kind of deep research reports and all of this kind of stuff. Do you think everyone will have their own kind of, it'll be built into the your mobile device or whatever physical way you're using AI?
I think so. I mean, I think AI has actually made personalization so easy now, right? It makes AI accessible. For people who don't know how to code, you can vibe code an app in literally minutes, right? We've actually removed that barrier. And so what's stopping people so I have built literally 20 apps, right, that I use every day that help me curate and understand my second brain and improve it and share all that content. And so, the future, I think, is that we're all going to have our chosen agent that works with a huge ecosystem of agents, but I don't need to know about how that's orchestrated. I just work with the agent in my flow of work, in my personal app, in my channel of choice, whether it's WhatsApp or something else, right? And that becomes my experience layer. I think we are actually getting to a point where the experience layer can be completely personalized, hyper-personalized even, right? And everything that is sort of powering that is just as important as ever, but the user experience is completely tailored to your unique preferences, who you are and how you work.
Yeah, and there's definitely some things that we're seeing the evolution of when we talk token maxing in terms of measurement, arguments that it can be used as a binary measurement, as in if it's 0, that's bad, if it's 1, it's good. Obviously, within context of how big that 1 is, right? It can be not good, but obviously not as a productivity measure. And the open source stuff for us does seem to be, you mentioned sovereignty, right? The open source model seems to be I guess the next evolution of what that argument could look like, or where the attention could flow to that certain area of AI. I think we saw today Microsoft had tapped DeepSeek as potentially looking at not specifically let's roll this thing out, but let's explore how this could maybe work. Because I guess there is an element of when does this become not cost effective to roll this out. Yes, we're getting SOTA results, and that's a great thing, but we're a business, we're here to make money. Maybe this isn't the way forward, right?
Exactly. And there's also that whole sort of latency and performance issue that you're dealing with, right? If you're running a really large language model on a laptop, for example, right? So there are things to consider than just the size of the model. Completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. I guess predictions we've had on the show, it would move to locally hosted, via an open source model in the future.
But there's also the data privacy concern, right? When I run my little local model on screenshots, there might be information that I don't want to send to a public model, right? So there are use cases, and I think we have that choice now. There's a wide range of models of different sizes, different domain areas. And if you wanted to, and I'm not saying we all should, you can even fine-tune your own model using your own data. Now, we have to think about the cost of maintaining the infrastructure, right? So I wouldn't recommend that to everyone. But I think the beauty is the choice is there now, right? The user experience, the model, the modality of it, it's all there. And so, to me as a leader, right, we have to really start thinking about how we build this talent pipeline, how we create the next generation of AI builders that start contributing to that circular
start building like a
ecosystem.
Foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about the what architectural principle do you think founders shouldn't ignore? Like what architectural principle do you think that they should make sure that they have in their workflow when they're building an AI native product? Like what is the single thing?
I love this question because not a lot of people ask about that, right? I would say human-centric design always.
Interesting.
Because a lot of the times we see really...
not agent to agent, we talk a lot about agent to agent, especially in the fintech world and whatever,
It's tech, right? And I say, yes, tech is fundamental. You want to be on the cutting edge. But if you lead with tech, you sometimes leave human behind.
Sure.
And what we're seeing, a lot of stalled projects, it's not because the technology isn't awesome. It's because people feel this technology is going to take away my job. Or I don't know if I can learn this, and I'm a manager, and I don't want to show my vulnerability.
Yeah.
So if we start by thinking, hey, how does this actually help you integrate AI into your day-to-day?
Yeah.
But also fundamentally, how do we provide that human psychological safety so that we know, and the thing is, customers that I work with that show 90+% adoption, they start with a conversation with the employees about, hey, this tool is going to change how you work. But don't worry, right? It's also going to help you focus on things you want to do more of. And so, obviously, I think tech is non-negotiable. But if we leave the human element behind, then you're going to have people resisting that change. So you need to take them with you on that journey.
Interesting. Yeah, we haven't had because we have so many conversations, obviously, about the agent to agent stuff. And humans are inherently kind of getting left behind sometimes in these conversations.
And
so yeah,
think
good
about
take, great
that
take.
human experience, right? If you tell me you build 100 agents or even 1,000 agents for me, as a user, I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
I just want to work with this agent that I have trained that knows how I am,
Sure.
right? And you hide the complexity away from the user. So I always say, one agent, user's choice. So I choose how I interact with this ecosystem of agents you're providing me. I trust that you built in the guardrails, but I don't need to learn. There's hundreds of agents I need to learn to invoke individually. I just want to go to my app and talk to my digital twin or whoever I choose to interact with. So that's another way to think about human-centric experiences, I think.
Fascinating.
Cool. Excellent take.
We've run out of time.
We haven't enough time.
That went so quickly. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so
It was
much
really
for
good to
joining
meet
us.
you.
It's been a pleasure. We hope we can do it again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, let's do it
Have a
again.
good
Thank
day.
you.
That was awesome.
Here we go. Final guest
up
of the
next.
show, wrapping up the show. It is Paul O'Sullivan,
We got
CTO
Paul
UKI
O'Sullivan.
at Salesforce. I'm standing up.
UK.
I've been sitting down for too long.
You standing up
I
for
need
this
my
one?
hips to move because I'm actually quite. Yeah, looking good. Man.
We're ready.
You didn't take your.
We're ready whenever you are, sir.
Please join.
We were thinking
Hey,
about
how's it going?
Really good to meet you.
Hello, mate. You're welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, you too.
Jump in the hot seat, you right?
Welcome to the show, man.
Come and join.
It's good to have you
Come and
on.
join the party. Thanks for the time. Well, thanks for inviting us to Salesforce.
Thanks for hosting us.
Yeah.
I wonder, where's the baseball caps?
Yeah.
Where's mine? I was expecting one.
I will give you one.
We've really dropped the ball there.
I heard you want the sign.
We do on the
Yeah,
side.
can we?
So
what about
you-
trade?
When I
We'll
get
do a
my
trade
baseball
deal.
cap,
Okay, we'll do
you
a
have
trade
to
deal. We'll do a
sign.
trade deal.
Well, there was also another option. We did suggest maybe that we could put it on the Salesforce tower right on the front, next to the Salesforce logo. Blow it up bigger.
Do you know what? Maybe in the AI center. How about that? There's a compromise to be
We
had
can
there.
work. We're quite picky.
We're getting somewhere. We're doing deals on that.
Some negotiation.
Paul, do you want to introduce yourself for the viewers and the listeners at home? It's your first time on the show. We're super lucky to have you here. What is your role, UK&I CTO? What does that mean? What does that compromise at Salesforce? What is it?
Yeah, cool. So look, thank you for the opportunity. So Paul O'Sullivan, Senior Vice President and CTO for UK and Ireland. I run our solution engineering business. We've got 300 engineers. Primary mission is to help our customers understand their business challenges and how can we help with Salesforce technology, help them get value, fix some of their problems, and really kind of help them either grow or provide an incredible service to their customers. So, yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Amazing, I love it.
Cool.
I mean, first question off the bat, it's a pretty broad one, but I wanted to get a temperature check on everything, kind of like UK. How is everything going? You know, you were like the face of the AI kind of center build out and everything, and the big kind of investment into London. How is that going? Is it is it going well?
So it sounds like no pressure when you put it like that. That's quite a tough gig. It's going incredibly well.
Good.
So obviously it's part of a broader commitment that we've made. We've had a tremendous amount of success already. So when I measure success, not just the AI Center as we know it today, but we've been on this mission now for the last 18 months. We've had over 8,500 visitors to the center. We've helped support a number of customers get their agents live in production, so they're starting their agentic journey. But also we've had students in, right? So we've had, anybody from like 10 to 18-year-olds wanting to learn about AI and AI literacy and closing that gap in knowledge. There's so much out there at the moment. It's hard for a young person to kind of distinguish between what can I trust, what can't I trust. So we've been trying to close that education gap. So yeah, it's going really, really well.
Right.
But I'm really conscious that we cannot be complacent.
Yeah.
So my team is phenomenal. We keep pushing the boundaries, and they hate me for it because I keep saying, well, what's next? What are we doing?
Moving the goalposts.
Well, and maybe we should have you guys
Moving
in there
forward.
for a day, and you can do all the coverage of everybody that comes through the door as well.
Well, we'll ask everyone their problems, and then you can just take notes while you're on the side.
Yeah. What have you done today? You mentioned before, or a conversation that we've had a lot is the UK is able to punch above its weight with AI. We're like very, very small comparatively to a bunch of stuff in the US, but we have DeepMind here, we have amazing labs here, we've got Neo labs popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
King's Cross is a really big hotspot for AI. This topic in general, what do you think of it? Do you align with it? Like, how does Salesforce see the UK as well?
Yeah, like if we think about the investment we're making here in London, London is the third biggest kind of AI hub globally, right? So if we think about the Bay Area, we think about New York, and then obviously much broader in other markets. But like we've got a tremendous amount of talent in this country, between some of our universities, this journey that we're all going on with the agentic AI, it's a once in a lifetime, right? I talk to customers all the time about this being both, we've lived through digital, right? We've seen digital transformation, and we were all kind of promised this hyper-personalization, always on type modes, omni-channels. And I think the transformation that we embarked on with customers was very much kind of point and shoot. And I think now with the world of agentic AI, and especially us in the UK and in London as a catalyst, we've got this opportunity to go like both vertically around everything that you've seen around all of the different systems of context through to systems of work, systems of agency, up to systems of engagement, but also go horizontally through the value chain, right? So if you're a business out there and a growing enterprise, you've got to be looking at this going, well, how do I do outreach to my customers? How do I engage with them? How do I prospect? What campaigns do I need to build? All the way through to kind of sales, conversion, lead to cash, and then the after sales experience. Incredibly, we see people who are going in that after sales space, they're like, hang on a minute, this is an opportunity for upsell and cross-sell, and I can engage with customers in a completely different way. And a lot of that has been supercharged by AI, right? Surfacing the right information at the right time in that moment. So the UK is the hub, and I truly believe we have got this incredible opportunity to unlock it and really win on a global scale.
Yeah, that's super exciting. It kind of leads me on to a question that I had when we realized that you were coming on the show, was obviously you're seeing like a ton of like customer outcomes and all this kind of stuff, right? And I wanted to ask, like, what does like good look like? When you see a customer, they adopt AI, they adopt Salesforce and AI. What does a good customer look like when you're?
Do you know what? Great question. That's a phenomenal, and I'll tell you why that's a great question. Traditional organizations that have been around for a really long time, are still in the mindset of treat it like a project. So they rock up and they go, right, okay, great, I'm going to do something with AI, right? I'm going to build an agent, or I'm going to use AI, generative AI, to summarize something. And then they effectively just kind of go, right, okay, project's done.
Nice.
Yeah. Off we go.
Yeah.
What good looks like is organizations that are thinking completely differently. And they're going, right, okay, this is not just a project. This is going to be a way of life, right? So I'm looking at this from a perspective of what's the technology I need? What's the people change motion that I need to go through to take my employees on the journey with me? And then actually, what's the operating model and shift? You know, everything, all of our business processes, how we're going to reinvent them, you know, and then it doesn't stop there. It's kind of like now these agents we build, we need to build, iterate, train, refine, you know, give them the platform to continuously learn and retire eventually, right?
Yeah.
You need to treat agents as an extension of your workforce. So what good looks like is the companies that get that straight away, and then they go, right, I've redesigned everything, I've got the right operating model to support my agentic transformation, and actually the transformation it's just the new way of life, right? This is how we're going to operate now.
Yeah,
definitely. Great answer.
Quick, like I know we are at the end already.
Wait,
yeah. 12:15. It comes quick.
Okay. They're trying to get me off.
We wanted to do a direct message to the audience. We're wrapping up. We've just finished the day now. This is our last interview of the day. That's how many interviews is that back to back?
11, 12.
11 or 12.
Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We've had an absolute pleasure. But we want you to sign off for the ETN.
Okay, right. Let's do this. So,
What camera are we at?
I don't know. Where are we
which one?
looking?
this one.
Over
That
here.
one there.
Hello.
Let me move
Okay,
this.
so call to CTA, call to action. Okay, if you are a business out there today and you're thinking, don't think, just start. Let's get involved, right? We have to redesign and think, you know, wholesale across our business. How are we going to transform? Let's take our people on the journey with us. Let's start small, scale big, you know, and then just go for it. This is not a moment to ponder and have fear, right? We've seen some of the biggest customers today. We've seen law enforcement actually use agentic technology to supercharge and drive value. So my question is, why can't you do it?
Boom. What a way to start the show.
What a way to
Right, thank you guys. Right, and I'm going to get my baseball cap, right?
Yeah, we're doing it now.
That's ETA.
Where do we this one? We're off. ETN, that's the show. Thank you guys. We'll see you when we see a big announcement coming actually from us soon, very soon. But thank you Salesforce, thank you World Tour.
Ciao.
Thank you guys. Cheers.